Chapter 122. Xiao Ziji had just returned and was already assigned to fight. This made him feel very excited. Yi Xingqian was not interested at all and was about to take a bath. Xingqian. Jun Changshao shouted, "You will fight in the 4th round. Let me see how much your strength has improved after this wilderness training." Damn it! You want me to fight with a little brat? Although he was unwilling, he still stopped and looked at the Star Cloud Sect disciple. His gaze was filled with the strong disdain of a martial emperor. Song Kai glanced at the two and said lightly, "Sect leader Jun, your 2 disciples look very tired. Isn't it a little too casual to send them?" "It's very casual," Jun Changshao said. This tone, this meaning. It was as if he did not take the Star Cloud Sect seriously at all. "You." Song Kai suppressed his anger and said lightly, "If Sect leader Jun doesn't feel that the Star Cloud Sect is bullying you, you can send them to fight." Ha! This must be what he wanted. Xiao Ziji did not even change his school uniform. He dragged his dirty body and stood on the training field. He cupped his hands and said, "Xiao Ziji." The Star Cloud Sect disciple looked at him and said, "So you are the champion of the inter-sect tournament." Then, he cupped his hands in disdain and said, "Zhang Yi." In his opinion, this guy who did not open his meridians was very lucky to win the championship. If he participated, he would definitely beat him to a pulp. Not to mention, in the inter-sect tournament, with Xiao Ziji's strength, facing a rank 4 martial disciple would be a tragedy. But now, bang! 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 After the fight began, the Star Cloud Sect disciple called Zhang Yi was beaten by Xiao Ziji's strong body and strength. He was spinning around in the training field dizzily. At this time, if the sound system was turned on, it would be very appropriate with a cat meowing song. Plop! Zhang Yi spun around for a while and fell to the ground, foaming at the mouth. As for the arrogant and disdainful expression just now, it was destined to be replaced by a dead fish face for a long time because of the beating. Ding! Disciple beat Star Cloud Sect disciple 35. Not bad, not bad. Jun Changshao said with satisfaction, after this experience, the improvement is very obvious. After dealing with his opponent, Xiao Ziji walked out of the training grounds and said, "Sect leader, I'm going to take a bath." Go, go, Jun Changshao said. Song Kai was dumbfounded. The disciple participating in the battle was a 4th grade martial disciple. From the aura of the Iron Bone disciple, it seemed that he was only at the 6th stage of the channel opening realm. Xiao Ziji's cultivation was weak. However, ever since he opened his meridians, he was able to gather spirit energy in his body. Coupled with his highly tempered body, his combat strength had definitely skyrocketed. 4th grade martial disciple. Sorry, it's just a punching bag. They had lost 3 out of 5 matches. This time, the Nebula Sect, which was ordered by Alliance Master Qin to challenge the Sect, had lost their face in front of Iron Bone. Jun Changshao said, "Elder Song, do you still want to spar?" "Spar?" Song Kai said solemnly. They had already lost, but if they could win the next 2 matches and make it 2-3, they could at least regain some face. "Xingqian, go on stage," Jun Changshao said. Yi Xingqian snorted coldly and walked onto the training grounds. He pointed at the 5th grade martial disciple who was supposed to be the last to fight and said disdainfully, "You, get up here." He directly chose the strongest. Brother Chen was very social. The Nebula Sect disciple who was pointed at glanced at Song Kai and walked onto the training grounds after receiving instructions. He looked at Yi Xingqian with a strong sense of disdain. He was the strongest among the 5 disciples brought by Song Kai. To be able to break through to the 5th grade martial disciple before the age of 20, he indeed had the qualifications to look down on others. However, he looked down on Su Xiaoma and Tian Qi. It was not a problem. However, the person he looked down on was one of the 10 great martial emperors, the Night Emperor. This was a big problem. Yi Xingqian, who was not interested in the battle between brats, saw the contempt and disdain in his eyes. His entire face immediately darkened. He clenched his fists and said coldly, "Kid, I will make you suffer." Pang! The Nebula Sect disciple bent his arms and clenched his fists. A wave of chi burst out and instantly tore his shirt, revealing a gaudy tattoo. It could be said that he was incomparably fierce. Jun Changshao shook his head and said, "You didn't tear your pants." Bad. Untattooed Peppa Pig. Bad. TSK, Yi Xingqian was disdainful. Song Kai said indifferently, "Sect leader Jun, this disciple of mine is proficient in 32 saber techniques. I wonder if we can use weapons in the battle." "Yes," Jun Changshao said. Yi Xingqian's mouth twitched. Facing a 5th grade martial disciple with a weapon, this should at least give me a weapon to fight, right? Unfortunately, Jun Changshao did not intend to give him a weapon. Instead, he clasped his fingers and said, "This disciple of mine is proficient in 72 grappling techniques. He has always fought with his bare hands." Yi Xingqian's expression suddenly became interesting. The Nebula Sect disciple waved his hand and summoned his treasured saber from his spatial ring. The saber was not long and was similar to a watermelon knife. However, the blade shone brightly. It looked very sharp. Lu Kunlong. He reported his name. Yi Xingqian did not report his name. Instead, he was thinking about how he should deal with a 5th grade martial disciple with a weapon with his bare hands. Shua! 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 At this moment, Lu Kunlong waved his saber. The saber shadows surrounded his body. Then, he raised his saber with one hand and stood in a golden rooster stance. He was indeed proficient in 32 saber techniques. What a professional! Good! Jun Changshao clapped his hands. Clap clap clap. The disciples behind him also clapped as if they were watching that guy perform a saber show. Lu Kunlong said indifferently, "If you don't report your name, then I will use my saber." Trash. Yi Xingqian said indifferently. Shua. At this moment, Lu Kunlong took a step forward and waved his saber crazily. In an instant, dense saber shadows were intertwined. It looked very scary. Yi Xingqian retreated step by step, avoiding the saber intent that swept towards him. At the same time, he was looking for his opponent's weakness. The improvement of his spiritual root and his cultivation level reaching stage 12 made him more compatible with his body. Not only could he catch the saber shadows, but he could also dodge them in advance. However, once the opponent's 32 saber techniques were used, not only did it form an attack, but it also protected his body. It was difficult to find a weakness to counterattack. Shua! Shua! Lu Kunlong's saber momentum increased and more saber shadows appeared. Yi Xingqian realized that if he could not finish him off in the shortest time possible, once he was surrounded by an inescapable net of attacks, he could only be attacked passively. Damn it! A mere 5th grade martial disciple was enough to make this emperor feel helpless. Yi Xingqian's anger rose. The little bit of domineering aura that he had just recovered burst out instantly. Huff huff. The aura spread out invisibly. Lu Kunlong, who was using his saber technique, was enveloped by the aura. He suddenly stopped, his eyes filled with fear. At that moment, his soul seemed to have fallen into hell. His heart suffered endless torment. His hand went limp and the saber he was holding fell to the ground with a clang. This kind of terrifying aura that came from a martial emperor's oppression disappeared in a flash. When Lu Kunlong regained his senses and realized that the saber had fallen, he saw that Yi Xingqian had already raised his waist, holding the saber in his hand. Brat! Knight Emperor said coldly, "You can't even hold a saber, and you dare to use your saber technique in front of me?" Shua! As he spoke, he swung his saber. Puchi, a deep saber mark appeared on Lu Kunlong's chest. Blood gushed out. You! His face became ferocious. Yi Xingchen stepped forward and said coldly, "Today, I will let you know that sabers are used to cut people, not for juggling." Schwa! The saber slashed down again. Blood splattered. Another saber mark appeared on Lu Kunlong's chest. He endured the pain and hurriedly turned around to run. Yi Xingchen chased after him with large strides. He raised his saber and slashed down. Puchi! Puchi! 1 slash, 2 slashes, 3 slashes, poor Lu Kunlong. His equipment was picked up by Yi Xingchen and counterattacked. In the end, he lay on the ground covered in blood. Chapter 123. If it had been someone else, Lu Kunlong would not have been knocked to the ground. At most, he would have been beaten up. However, his opponent was Yi Xingchen. Who was he? One of the 10 great martial emperors. Not only had he killed people in his past life, but he had also killed many people. When his bones were piled up, they could form a mountain. He was definitely a ruthless character who killed without batting an eye. Thinking about how he had been chased by a group of vicious beasts and was now being looked down upon by a junior, Yi Xingchen's anger turned into killing intent. He raised his saber and slashed down again. Xingchen! Jun Changshao stopped him. "It's just a spar. There's no need to kill." Yi Xingchen stopped slashing and threw the saber on the ground. He snorted. "Sect leader, don't let me fight trash like this in the future. It's a waste of time." After saying that, he turned around and went to take a bath. He can actually counter-attack a rank 5 martial disciple. Junior brother Yi is too awesome. The disciples exclaimed. Su Xiaoma was surprised. Junior brother Yi has grown so fast. If it were him, he could use his speed to fight against Lu Kunlong, but he definitely couldn't use his sword to counterattack like Yi Xingchen. Jun Changshao held his chin and said, "There seemed to be a wave of qi just now." Because of the distance, he caught a glimpse of Yi Xingchen's domineering aura. Although it disappeared in a flash, it was terrifying. The system said, "This is spiritual force." Spiritual force? When a martial artist's soul energy is strong, they can form spiritual force to intimidate others. Jun Changshao said, "You mean, Xing Chen's spiritual force shocked Lu Kunlong's mind. That's why his saber fell." "That's right," the system said. Looking at the receding figure, Jun Changshao said to himself, "This disciple of mine is not simple." "Not just a little," the system said. Lu Kunlong could have exchanged blows with Yi Xingchen. However, his mind was disturbed by Xing Chen's domineering aura and he ended up being slashed to the ground. It was not that he was not strong, but that his opponent was too evil. Song Kai, who was standing at the back, retracted his condensed spiritual energy. Anger appeared in his eyes. If Yi Xingchen had dared to slash down, he would have attacked regardless of the consequences. After all, Lu Kunlong was the most valued inner disciple of the Nebula Sect. Jun Changshao said, "Elder Song, your Star Cloud sect has lost 4 rounds. Is there a need to continue?" These words were very hurtful, causing Song Kai's heart to ache. He said solemnly, "Continue." If he stopped now, the score would be 4-0. However, if he insisted on continuing, the score would be 5-0. Because the next contestant was Lu Qianqian. This cold beauty of few words released a tsunami-like spiritual power as soon as she entered the arena, directly scaring the Nebula Sect disciple to the ground. Bang! Bang! His spiritual energy transformed into small fists and pounded on that guy's chest. In the end, he spat out a mouthful of blood and passed out gloriously. The Iron Bone disciples' mouths twitched. It turned out that our beautiful senior sister was even fiercer than Yi Xingchen when she fought. Long Xiang, Yang Yuhua, and the other new disciples secretly said, "Senior sister is the most ferocious person in the sect. Don't provoke her." Ding! Disciple thrashed Nebula Sect Disciple 55. Ding! Side mission completed. Host received 50 contribution points. Ding. Sect contribution points, 230500. Comfortable. Jun Changshao stood up and smiled. Elder Song, thank you for letting me win. Song Kai's entire face darkened. When he came, he promised Qin Haoran that he would definitely be able to kill the Iron Bone disciples. In the end, he lost all 5 rounds and was shaved bald. If this news were to spread, it would definitely be embarrassing. Elder Song. Jun Changshao said again, I see that you don't look good. You seem to be unconvinced by your loss. How about this, you and I have a spar? Song Kai's expression suddenly froze. He couldn't bear the loss of his disciples. He was still thinking about whether to spar with that guy. He didn't expect the other party to take the initiative to speak. Very good, very good. Song Kai cupped his hands and said, since sect leader Jun has said so, I will respectfully accept. As he spoke, he walked to the center of the training field and fed Lu Kunlong a healing pill. Then, he dragged him down. Jun Changshao walked over and thought, how much strength does this guy have? About 30,000. The system said. Only 30,000? Jun Changshao disdained. Although he was only an 8th grade martial disciple, his strength had long exceeded 20,000. The system said, this elder's aptitude is average. He is only an ordinary 1st grade martial master. The host has undergone physique transformation and muscle molding. Naturally, he is not an ordinary person. Oh, that's true. Jun Changshao said. It wasn't just him. Disciples who cultivated the body metamorphosis scripture, took the body molding pill, and went through the tempering of the body molding room all had combat power far stronger than ordinary people. When they cultivated their spiritual roots and cultivation, their strength. Just thinking about it made people's blood boil. The sect leader is about to make a move. When Jun Changshao stood in the middle of the training field, the Iron Bone disciples immediately began to discuss. After all, the last time the sect leader made a move was when he tortured Ma Yongning. The Star Cloud sect's elder is a martial master. Can the sect leader win? A new disciple whispered. Nonsense, he can definitely win. The early disciples had 100% unconditional trust in Jun Changshao. The sect leader will win, the sect leader will win. Lu Wanshi raised her small fist and shouted. For a moment, the Iron Bone disciples were motivated and shouted in unison, cheering for the sect leader. Humph! Song Kai lightly snorted, but on the surface, he cupped his hands and said gracefully, Sect leader Jun, shall we compete with weapons or fists? Fists. Jun Changshao said. Song Kai said, all right. As he spoke, thick spiritual energy condensed in his palms. His aura was quite good. In the Falling Star continent, martial disciples were also known as the spirit condensation stage. It meant that they condensed spiritual energy and opened up a cyclone in their dantian. Martial masters were known as the spirit manipulation stage because martial artists who reached this stage were more proficient in the absorption of spiritual energy and the use of spiritual energy. Although Song Kai was very mediocre in all aspects, he was still a genuine martial master. The spiritual energy in his palms was 2 streets ahead of a martial disciple. Kid. When the battle begins, I will defeat you in front of your disciples as quickly as possible to save the face of my Star Cloud sect. Song Kai said, Sect leader Jun, can we start? We can start. Jun Changshao said. Swish. Song Kai strode over and clenched his right hand into a fist. The spiritual energy in the cyclone instantly poured into it, and a visible wave of air suddenly appeared. It was quite urgent. Jun Changshao smiled faintly, raised his right palm and cut through the void, and said, I slash. Xiao, a crescent-shaped stream of light burst out. Song Kai raised his eyebrows. His right fist blasted out with a strong wind and violently broke it on the spot. His eyes were filled with strong disdain. However, When he looked at Jun Changshao, he saw that the guy's left and right hands seemed to have turned into two kitchen knives. He kept chopping as if he was chopping dumplings. I slash, I slash, I slash, I slash, I slash, I slash. Shio 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 shio. In an instant, dozens of streaks of light shot out from different angles. This. Li Qingyang's mouth twitched. It was a little scary that the sect leader used I slash to such an extent. Of course, Song Kai, who was a little disdainful at first, saw the dense streams of light rushing from all angles. His expression suddenly became interesting. Dodge! 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 This was the thought in his heart, but he couldn't dodge at all. He could only condense his spiritual energy in a hurry and constantly bombard the incoming streams of light. Bang! 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 Song Kai was still quite strong. He broke all the incoming streams of light. I slash, I slash, I slash, I slash, slash, slash. Sect leader Jun stood in the same place. He twisted his butt as if he was cheating and continuously waved his hand. The crescent-shaped streams of light flew out with a shio shio sound. Facing this kind of endless bombardment, Elder Song, who was a martial master, could only passively defend. However, there were too many of them. In the end, he couldn't keep up with the speed of the attacks. He could only use his body parts to block them. Boom! 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 5 minutes later. Jun Changshao stood in the martial arts arena, panting. Although the consumption of I slash wasn't high, it couldn't be used so recklessly. Therefore, the energy of the cyclone in his dantian had been consumed by 70 to 80%. Song Kai stood outside the martial arts arena with trembling legs. In the end, he couldn't support his body and sat on the ground. Ding! Defeat the 7th Elder of the Star Cloud Sect, Song Kai, 1 point, Elite Mission. Ding! Side mission completed. Host receives 100 contribution points. Ding! Sect contribution points, 330500. Li Qingyang and the other disciples looked at the sect leader with admiration. There was only one thought in their minds: awesome. Chapter 124. Song Kai was defeated before he could even get close to Jun Changshao. This was undoubtedly a tragedy. It wasn't that he wasn't strong, it was that Jun Changshao was cheating. The self-slash was modified by a mysterious almighty and consumed very little energy. If it were any other martial master, they wouldn't be able to withstand it. Of course. Due to the realm, it was difficult to perfectly display the power of the self-slash. It only made Song Kai's body sore and consumed a lot of spiritual energy. If Jun Changshao was a martial master, Elder Song wouldn't have collapsed to the ground. Instead, he would have been a corpse lying on the ground. In any case, an 8th-grade martial disciple defeating a martial master was already powerful enough. If it was a martial technique from the Falling Star continent, unless it was of high quality, it would be extremely difficult to achieve this. Sect leader is mighty. Sect leader is mighty. After being stunned for a moment, the disciples cheered excitedly. When the new disciples saw the sect leader defeating a martial master with the cultivation of a martial disciple, they immediately prostrated themselves in worship. Elder Song. Jun Changshao cupped his fists and said, "Thank you for letting me win." After completing 2 side missions and obtaining 150 contribution points, he was in a good mood. Song Kai endured the pain and stood up. His weak face was filled with anger. The energy streams were obviously not very powerful, but there were too many of them, causing him to be unable to deal with them. He was really unwilling to accept this. Jun Changshao said, "Elder Song, if you are not convinced, you can choose another day to spar with my sect. I welcome you at any time." Song Kai snorted coldly and cupped his fists. "Goodbye." After saying that, he left with the injured disciples in disgrace. Originally, they were ordered by Alliance Master Qin to deliberately cause trouble at the Iron Bone sect. In the end, they were defeated 6-0, embarrassing themselves to the extreme. Clean up the martial arts practice field and continue to cultivate. Jun Changshao said. Yes. The disciples hurriedly fetched water to wash away the bloodstains on the martial arts practice field. Then, they cleaned it up and cultivated as usual. Senior Brother Su, the sect leader is really strong. Of course. Was what the sect leader used just now a spiritual martial technique? Of course. Senior Brother Su, can we learn it? As long as you break through to martial disciple, you can cultivate unconditionally. The new disciple's eyes burned with passion, and his desire to become stronger became even more resolute. Long Xiang, who was sitting to the side, thought to himself, this iron bone was indeed the right choice. I also need to break through to martial disciple as soon as possible. He had joined the Iron Bone Club not because he had seen the advertisement, but because he had heard about how Li Qingyang had defeated Mo Shangfei using a spiritual force martial skill on Spirit Spring Mountain. To be exact. He had come for me. Long Xiang secretly praised his decision to join the Iron Bone sect after witnessing the sect leader's display of power as a martial disciple and exhausting a martial master. Wait until I practice this unfathomable martial skill. When I return to the clan, I will definitely shock all of you. Boom. Li Fei waved his hand and said, Junior Brother Long, why are you in a daze? Come and play with us. Mom. It's too scary. I want to go home now. Yi Xingqian and Xiao Ziji took a shower and changed into a clean set of school uniforms. They were called to the study by Jun Changshao. Not bad, not bad. Sect Master Jun crossed his legs and placed them on the desk. You didn't disappoint me during this training. Seeing him like this, Yi Xingqian wanted to rush up and press his head on the table, then raise his fist and beat him up. Sect leader. Xiao Ziji said, this disciple obtained a lot of crystal nuclei in the wild. Is that so? Jun Changshao said. Xiao Ziji waved his hand, and the crystal nuclei in the interspatial ring appeared on the ground. There were quite a few of them, about 40 to 50. Among them, some were personally killed by him, and some were shot by the Type 88 sniper rifle. The highest was a peak vicious beast, and the lowest was a low second grade. So many. Jun Changshao was surprised. He chose a few suitable crystal nuclei to make bullets for Xiao Ziji and took the rest. Crystal nuclei had many uses, so he could keep them for now. Idiot. Yi Xingqian secretly said. So many crystal nuclei to sell and exchange for martial arts resources, wouldn't that be perfect? Why did he have to foolishly pay? Sect leader. Xiao Ziji said honestly, Junior Brother Yi also has a few crystal nuclei. Yi Xingqian's mouth twitched, and there were tens of thousands of grass mud horses running wildly in his heart. Jun Changshao looked over with a smile. Can you keep one? No. Yi Xingqian reluctantly took out a few crystal nuclei from his chest and put them on the table. Jun Changshao rolled his eyes and said, don't you feel uncomfortable putting this stone-like thing in your chest? Yi Xingqian was silent. Yes, it was a little uncomfortable. Here. Jun Changshao threw an interspatial ring and said, this is an interspatial ring, it can hold things. Damn it. This guy thinks that I haven't even heard of an interspatial ring? At that moment, the prideful Night Emperor couldn't wait to throw the interspatial ring on the ground and step on it. There are 5 meridian opening pills, 5 chi gathering pills, and 1 chi revolving pill in the ring. The chi revolving pill can quickly condense a chi revolving pill and break through to the martial disciple level. Jun Changshao said. Yi Xingqian put it on his middle finger and thought, the size is just right. Xin Xingqian. Jun Changshao said, I have divided the inner and outer sect. The 2 of you are inner sect disciples, so work hard and don't let me down. He took out a bottle of aptitude-changing liquid and threw it to Xiao Ziji, saying, "This is an aptitude-changing liquid suitable for mortal spiritual roots. Take it and consume it." Xiao Ziji hurriedly caught it, and a look of ecstasy appeared on his face. He, who had consumed the aptitude-changing liquid before, naturally knew how heaven-defying this thing was. Aptitude-changing liquid? Yi Xingqian said blankly, "What is this?" Jun Changshao said, "It's a type of liquid that can immediately increase the quality of your spiritual roots after consumption." Yi Xingqian's expression suddenly became sluggish. It can change the quality of spiritual roots, and immediately? That was nonsense, wasn't it? As a former martial emperor, he had never heard of a medicine that could change spiritual roots in the falling star continent. There was none in this world, but there was one in the system store. Gulp. At that moment, Xiao Ziji anxiously opened the bottle and swallowed the liquid. Huff huff. In just a moment, white smoke rose from his body, and then his temperament changed. Yi Xingqian's eyes widened. He could feel that not only did Xiao Ziji's temperament change, but his cultivation level also seemed to have increased. And this happened in the blink of an eye. Oh my God! Is there really such a heaven-defying medicine in this world? Jun Changshao said, "Xingqian, you have a low-grade spiritual root. I have a bottle that is suitable for low-grade spiritual roots. Wait." Yi Xingqian raised his hand and said, "Sect Master, let me calm down first." Huff. He patted his face, rubbed his eyes, and looked at Xiao Ziji again. After confirming that this guy's temperament had changed greatly, he said seriously, "Sect Master, it's suitable for low-grade spiritual roots, so it's only effective for low-grade spiritual roots?" "That's right." Jun Changshao said, "Low-grade spiritual roots can break through to the mortal grade, and mortal-grade spiritual roots can be upgraded to the medium grade. Your senior brother Xiao used the mortal-grade spiritual root, and now he has a medium-grade spiritual root." Yi Xingqian hurriedly said, "Sect Master, I actually have a mortal-grade spiritual root. When I filled in the sect application form, I deliberately hid it." "You have a mortal-grade spiritual root?" Jun Changshao was surprised. "Yes," Yi Xingqian said. At this time, he could not hide it. After all, he could give a mortal-grade spiritual root. If he gave a low-grade spiritual root, it would be useless. Jun Changshao thought to himself, "Since this guy has a mortal-grade spiritual root, I can save a bottle of aptitude-changing liquid." Chapter 125. Yi Xingqian originally planned to hide his spirit root. After all, the Taixuan Sutra was one of the two biggest secrets in his heart. The other secret was his rebirth. However, he had no choice but to tell the truth. If he was only given one bottle and a low-grade one, he would not be able to improve his spirit root. The higher the comprehension of the Taixuan Sutra, the stronger the spirit root. However, it would take time. Yi Xingqian wanted to improve his spirit root as soon as possible. Jun Changshao thought, "Since you have a mortal-grade spirit root, I will save 50 points to buy a low-grade one. Here, take it." He threw the mortal-grade aptitude-modifying liquid over. Yi Xingqian caught it and asked cautiously, "Sect leader, will there be any side effects after taking this medicine?" That was a very professional question. In the falling star continent, there were pills that could forcibly improve one's cultivation. Although one could break through after taking it, one could only rely on pills in the future. Until one reached a certain level, it would be difficult to improve one's cultivation level without stronger pills. Jun Changshao said, "If you're worried, you don't have to take it." Yi Xingqian did not say anything else. He walked out of the study and returned to his residence. Then, he closed the door and looked down at the aptitude-modifying liquid in his hand. He was considering whether to take it or not. Yi Xingqian, Yi Xingqian. Back then, you went through a lot for the Taixuan Sutra. Now, you're still thinking about the medicine to improve your aptitude? Smack. He opened the bottle and drank it. Whoosh. Whoosh. After the liquid entered his body, his meridians, blood, muscles, and even every inch of his skin transformed. His spirit root also entered the medium grade from the mortal grade in an instant. Because it was stage 12 meridian opening, there was no cyclone. It only improved his aptitude, but it did not increase his cultivation level. Yi Xingqian said in shock, "Unbelievable." The Taishian Sutra could improve one's aptitude because it was a supreme cultivation technique that surpassed the divine grade. A bottle of medicine could do it easily. It was completely beyond his knowledge of medicine. Could it be a celestial medicine from the upper realm? Yi Xingqian guessed. The upper realm was a higher existence than the falling star continent. Only martial emperors and those who had broken through the void were qualified to go there. That was an even more vast world. Even he, who had once dominated the continent, would be as insignificant as an ant in that world. But that didn't stop Yi Xingqian from longing for it, because it was said that the secret of immortality could be found there. The lifespan of the creatures in the world of martial arts was very long, but there would be a day when they would burn out. Therefore, having an unlimited lifespan was the lifelong pursuit of the strong. Yi Xingqian said with a solemn expression, "If it's an immortal medicine from the upper realm, then this Jun Changshao must be extraordinary to be able to give it to his disciple so casually." He had never taken the sect leader seriously, but after consuming the aptitude-altering elixir, there was a slight change in his mentality. Coincidentally, Jun Changshao was also trying to figure him out in the room. He thought to himself, he hid the fact that he has a mortal grade spiritual root? Do you really think I, the sect leader, am a fool? Yuan Fang, what do you think? The system pondered for a moment before saying, to be able to upgrade a low-grade spiritual root to a common grade in such a short time, there must be something fishy about this. Isn't that obvious? Jun Changshao said. The system said, according to my research on the falling star continent, there is no way to forcefully upgrade a spiritual root in this world, unless what? A mental cultivation method above the divine grade. Isn't the divine grade the highest? Jun Changshao was surprised. The system said, there are many types of martial arts in the falling star continent. After countless years, they have been divided into different grades by the later generations. However, there are some rare martial arts that are not included in this list. For example? Jun Changshao asked. The system said, tens of thousands of years ago, a peerless expert appeared in the falling star continent. He called himself the Old Man of Taishian. He created two mental cultivation methods that were known as peerless treasures. One of them was the Taishian Ice Heart Technique, and the other was the Taishian Sutra. The names sound awesome, Jun Changshao said. The system said, 10,000 years ago, a fortuitous person obtained one of the fragments of the Supreme Profound Ice Heart Incantation. Later, he cultivated it to great perfection and advanced to martial emperor. Then, he established the Supreme Profound Holy Sect. Even now, it is still a first-rate sect. Jun Changshao was surprised, he created a first-rate sect with just a remnant mental cultivation method? Is he really that awesome? The system said, the Old Man of Taishian is a legendary figure. The two mental cultivation methods he created are regarded as being above the divine grade. The Taishian Ice Heart Technique has been found. Only the Sutra of Taishian is missing. Many Wusheng and martial emperors have been searching for it their whole lives. Jun Changshao rubbed his hands and said, even I want to look for it. The system poured cold water on him. This kind of magical mental cultivation method can only be found by the protagonist of a novel. Host, don't count on it. You should just rely on the system to get rich. That's true. Jun Changshao dispelled the idea of looking for a peerless mental cultivation method and said, Yi Xingqian's spirit root improved. Did he cultivate a peerless divine grade mental cultivation method? Most likely. The system didn't dare to be 100% sure. Jun Changshao rubbed his chin and said, if this guess is correct, he can obtain a peerless mental cultivation method. Doesn't that mean he has a protagonist's life? A genius turned into trash, and the other obtained a peerless mental cultivation method. Aya, my little iron bone is full of all kinds of protagonist-level bosses. Just thinking about training them makes me a little shy. The system said, Host, you can trick Yixingqian. If you have a peerless divine-grade mental cultivation method, you can trick him to cultivate it. Jun Changshao spread his hands and said, Didn't you just say that I can just rely on the system to get rich? What's the use of learning other people's martial arts? The system was speechless. Jun Changshao didn't try to trick Yixingqian. The main reason was that even if he did have a peerless mental cultivation method, he definitely wouldn't say it. If he accidentally made him vigilant and worried that his martial arts method would be stolen, he would escape from the sect. Then the loss would outweigh the gain. Moreover, the items bought from the system were also very heaven-defying. Why would he waste time and effort to cultivate such a profound mental cultivation method? Since he didn't want to find out about the mental cultivation method, the only thing he could do was to cooperate with Yixingqian and pretend that he was a normal person. If Jun Changshao knew that this disciple not only obtained the peerless mental cultivation method that he and the system just talked about, but was also a reincarnated martial emperor, he would probably jump from his bed to the roof. The night was long, and no one was in the mood to sleep. Jun Changshao stopped cultivating and muttered, Let's refresh the system store and see if I can find something good. Ding! Sect contribution points, 220500. After refreshing, new items appeared. Jun Changshao scanned through them one by one. His eyes fixed on a product called Dazzling Light Sunglasses. Sunglasses were also for sale. And they were dazzling. He clicked on the detailed description. Item, Dazzling Light Sunglasses. Effect, after wearing it, the user can use their mind to activate the prying function and quickly analyze the target's spirit root, cultivation, strength, weapon, protective gear, and other data. Time limit, use immediately. Price, 50 contribution points. Note, dazzling light sunglasses can only be used by the host. The degree of prying depends on the host's cultivation. Powerful cultivators or those with cultivation methods and treasures will not be displayed. Jun Changshao was overjoyed. This is awesome. Although the system could roughly detect the target's cultivation and strength, it would not look at the spirit root, weapon, or protective gear's grade. Buy. He clicked on it without hesitation. Ding. The host has spent 50 contribution points and obtained Dazzling Light Sunglasses X1. It has been transferred to the spatial ring. Ding. Sect contribution points, 170500. Before Jun Changshao's mind could enter the spatial ring to take out the dazzling light sunglasses he just bought, a sound rang in his ears. Ding! Side mission activated. Another mission. He pulled open the system's data panel. The content was Kill the Assassin 05, incomplete. TSK. This drizzle building really never gets tired of it. They sent another assassin. Peng! At this time, the sound of gunfire came from outside. After Xiao Ziji fired the first shot, he quickly moved the Type 88 sniper rifle. The scope of the scope locked onto the distant mountain rock. Ding! Killed the assassin 15. At the same time the notification sounded, Jun Changshao climbed up the sentry tower. He put his hand on the stone platform that was used as a cover and said, "Where are the other 4? They are all behind the rock." Xiao Ziji said. And, the 4 assassins stuck to the back of the rock and did not dare to show their heads. Especially when they saw the dead bodies of their companions, a chill ran down their spines and their scalps became numb. Chapter 126. The 4 assassins hid behind the boulder, trembling like frightened cats. With a loud bang, the assassin's head burst open. This sudden change was too frightening. They had also received professional training, so their mental fortitude was extremely high. If it was a normal martial artist, if their mental fortitude wasn't strong enough, they would definitely be paralyzed on the ground. Calm down, calm down. The four assassins hid behind the boulder and took a deep breath. Their mental fortitude gradually calmed down, and the fear in their eyes weakened a lot. Fourth brother, we've been discovered. What kind of hidden weapon was that flying light? It could actually kill fifth brother in an instant. This iron bone is a bit strange, let's retreat. Just as they were discussing, Jun Changshao put on the dazzling light ink mirror, and in front of him appeared all kinds of precise analysis scenes. Damn, it's really professional. Give me the gun. Xiao Ziji handed over the Type 88 sniper rifle. Jun Changshao held the gun, his eyes on the 8x scope, and lightly said, since you dared to assassinate me, don't even think about leaving. Ding. The host has successfully activated the 8x scope enhancement mode, using 5 contribution points. Ding. Sect contribution points, 165500. This guy activated the cheat. Under the X-ray vision, the 4 assassins were exposed to the scope. Fourth brother, I also agree to retreat. This iron bone is definitely not ordinary, the plan needs to be changed. Fourth brother, we can wait for them to leave the sect, then secretly set up an ambush and kill them one by one. That's a good idea, but, the leader called fourth brother frowned, the flying light just now was extremely fast, I'm afraid we'll be attacked again after we leave. We can rush out from different directions, the enemy will definitely be at a loss. I agree. I also agree. The assassin called fourth brother thought for a bit and said, let's go down the mountain and meet at the same place. Meet at the same place? Sorry, you won't have the chance. Jun Changshao, who was eavesdropping on their conversation, raised the corner of his mouth into a sneer. I've already activated the cheat, if you guys can escape under my nose, how will I have the face to meet the gods in the future? The 4 assassins didn't immediately move, calmly analyzing the escape route before reaching an agreement. Let's move. They moved to the left and right sides of the boulder. To be honest, the fact that these assassins were able to remain calm and come up with a new plan when the situation was extremely disadvantageous to them was truly very professional. After getting into position, they looked at each other and the one called fourth brother rushed over first. Buzz! The black shadow flashed, and the crosshairs on the screen of the sunglasses instantly locked on, quickly analyzing the realm peak martial disciple. Actually, there were many more functions, but Jun Changshao only activated the realm for now. Peak martial disciple. TSK, you're not weak. Schwa. Schwa. Right at this moment, the other 3 black-clothed men rushed in from the left and right sides. They were all 9th grade martial disciples. No wonder he was so calm, so professional, and so strong. Boom. At this moment, an explosion was heard. A stream of light shot out from the muzzle and pierced through the chest of one of the assassins. Boom. Boom. The muzzle of the gun moved, and the other 2 assassins were also pierced through their chests. Then, they fell to the ground like broken leaves. 3 shots, not a single one missed. 8th brother, 7th brother. The assassin called fourth brother saw that his companions were all dead, and grief appeared in his eyes. However, there was no time to think, and he quickly rushed down the slope. Iron bone. I'll be back. As he spoke, he jumped up, spread his arms, and jumped down like an eagle spreading its wings to pounce on its prey. Boom, the loud sound was heard again. The assassin's heart was suddenly filled with a strong sense of death. He looked back in horror and saw a stream of light shoot through the grass and trees. No. He turned pale with fright. Boom. The bullet hit between his buttocks, and he fell to the ground and died miserably. Sect leader Jun couldn't be blamed for his actions, but that guy curled up into a ball after jumping, leaving only his buttocks to hit. Idiot. Jun Changshao put away his gun and took off his sunglasses. Why didn't you just jump down and be done with it? Why did you have to jump so confidently like a martial arts expert? Ding. Assassins killed, 55. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the side mission. You have received 100 Sect contribution points. Ding! Sect contribution points, 265500. That's a lot of contribution points. The system said, the higher the cultivation of the target killed, the higher the reward. So that's how it is. Jun Changshao threw the gun to Xiao Ziji and got down from the fort. The latter said in admiration, Sect leader didn't have shoulder pads, but he didn't even move after shooting 4 times. He's simply too strong. What made him even more shocked was that he found the bodies of the 4 assassins. All 3 of them had been shot in the chest, where their hearts were, without any error. This spear technique was so terrifying. Xiao Ziji secretly said, I have to work harder too. I have to learn Sect leader's godly spear technique as soon as possible. Young man, give up on this unrealistic idea. No matter how strong your technique is, you can't compare to a cheat-like deity. The 5 assassins each had a spatial ring, but there wasn't anything valuable inside. Jun Changshao used Ling Long fire to burn it, and then returned to the Sect. No. Sitting in the study, his hands clasped together, his gaze cold. Drizzle building must be dealt with as soon as possible. The system said, didn't the host want to use it to earn contribution points? At first, that was what Jun Changshao thought. But after hearing the assassin's conversation, especially about the ambush outside, he had to reconsider. Disciples cultivating in the Sect would definitely be safe. But going out to train or doing things was a must. If the assassins from Drizzle building used that kind of tactic, it would be troublesome. His disciples were his own flesh and blood. He definitely couldn't tolerate them being killed. The best way was to eliminate the threat, even if he didn't earn any contribution points. I've decided. Jun Changxiao's killing intent spread out, destroy Drizzle building. If it was a sect, he might consider whether to destroy it or not. But if it was a dark and evil organization, even if he destroyed 100 of them, he would still feel that he was being very righteous. Here came the problem. Where was Drizzle building? Jun Changxiao scratched his head, and said regretfully, if I knew, I would have left one alive to follow them. That's right. He slapped his forehead, there are still 2 assassins at Iron Bone. During this period of time, the 2 assassins performed very well in the cafeteria. Because the food was too fragrant, they even forgot that they were assassins and fully immersed themselves in the role of waiters. The next day, Jun Changshao let Lu Wancher cook a sumptuous meal and placed it neatly on the table. He smiled, the 2 of you, are you used to living in my Iron Bone? Gulp. Looking at the sumptuous food on the table, the 2 assassins swallowed their saliva and hurriedly nodded, used to it, used to it. Jun Changshao said, you came to kill this lord, and this lord repaid your hatred with kindness by providing you with food and shelter. No matter what, you should express your gratitude, right? The 2 assassins were speechless. Big brother, you locked us up before. What does this have to do with repaying hatred with kindness? Sect Master Jun, the gold medal assassin said, how do you want to thank us? Jun Changshao said, very simple. Tell me the location of Drizzle Building's headquarters. The 2 assassins were startled. An unyielding aura suddenly appeared around them as they said in unison, no comment. Assassins must have the professionalism of assassins. Being a helper here was already very spineless. How could they betray the organization? Not saying even if they were beaten to death. Seeing that they were quite unyielding, Jun Changshao clapped his hands and said, gulp, pour this rice into the bucket and feed it to the cows and sheep. Lu Wancher walked over and held 2 bowls of fried rice. She said sadly with tears in her eyes, Brother Ihe, Brother Arii, these dishes were personally made by Gulp for you. It's a pity to throw it away. The 2 assassins lowered their heads. Sigh. Lu Wancher carried the fried rice to the bucket. Just as she was about to pour it in, the gold medal assassin clenched his fists and said in a low voice, Sect Master Jun, if we tell you, can we always stay in Iron Bone? Jun Chengshao said, yes. I'll tell you. Chapter 127. The two assassins put down their professionalism and told her about their organization. It was not because of the sumptuous meal, nor the 2 bowls of fried rice, but because of Lu Wanshi. They were imprisoned in Iron Bone, just like prisoners. When they came to the cafeteria to do chores, Lu Wanshi did not treat herself as a prisoner, but as a friend. Not only did she cook delicious food, she would also ask about assassins. At first, they resisted. But as time passed, their cold hearts were gradually moved by the innocent and cute Lu Wanshi. They forgot their identity as assassins and treated themselves as waiters. They even took the initiative to talk to the little girl about their past after the disciple ate. Brother Ihei, Brother Arai. One day, Lu Wanshi held her chin and asked, you hide in the dark all day, hiding in the dark. Aren't you afraid and lonely? The speaker had no intention, but the listener had a heart. The two assassins put down their bowls and chopsticks, and were silent for a long time. No one was born cold-blooded, and no one was born heartless. Who would like the days of being accompanied by the dark all day and walking on a tightrope on the edge of a knife? Lu Wanshi's words touched the two assassins' cold hearts. Just now, when they saw her holding 2 bowls of fried rice with tears in her eyes, they felt heartache for the first time. Brother Ihei, Brother Arai, every dish that Duda makes, every bowl of rice, is filled with feelings. You must finish it, there can't be any waste. This was a sentence that Lu Wanshi often said. So, when she stood in front of the swill bucket, the two assassins finally gave up the quality that an assassin should have. In order to not let the innocent and cute little girl be sad, they would rather bear the crime of betraying the organization for a bowl of rice. These two assassins, were not too cold. After getting the exact coordinates of the drizzle building, Jun Chengshao looked at the two assassins who were wolfing down their food and said, in this period of time, I have seen your performance, you can join Iron Bone. However, he paused, and said in a deep voice, once a person of Iron Bone for a day, a person of Iron Bone for a lifetime. A difference of a year, a difference of a day, or a difference of 2 hours is not a lifetime, so I need your absolute loyalty. Sect leader, please rest assured. Lu Wanshi raised her hand and said with a serious look in her eyes, I will use my life to guarantee for Brother Ihei and Brother Arai that they will definitely be loyal to Iron Bone. The two killers put down their bowls and chopsticks. Their mouths were full of rice, and their tears flowed down uncontrollably. I blacked out. I'm Arai. Even if he were to die, he would stay in Iron Bone and be at Lu Wanshi's beck and call. All right. Jun Chengshao snapped his fingers and said, Qingyang, go get the entry form. Yes. After filling in the first and second black forms and stamping them with the sect master's seal, the number of Iron Bone disciples increased from 148 to 150, and the contribution points increased to 267 points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the hidden mission, renounce the darkness for the light. The reward is 50 contribution points. Ding! Sect contribution points, 317500. This hidden mission was definitely related to the four-word idiom. Ma Yongning, who was standing in front of the kitchen, held his knife and looked at the two assassins. He said disdainfully, useless guys. Uncle Ma. Lu Wanshi waved her hand and blinked her big eyes as she shouted, do you want to join Iron Bone? Little girl. You're underestimating Uncle Ma's dignity as a swordsman. Ding! Sect members, 151500. Ding! Sect contribution points, 318500. Sect Hall. Li Qingyang said seriously, Sect Master, you asked about the location of the Drizzle Building's headquarters. Could it be, that's right. Jun Changshao clasped his fingers together and said with a cold gaze, "We'll wipe them out in one go." Li Qingyang said, "According to Ihei, the Drizzle Building's leader is a 5th-grade martial master. There are also 4 ace assassins at the peak of martial disciple level. They are almost comparable to a 7th-rate sect. Not to mention." He paused and said, "This kind of assassin organization likes to hide in the dark and is extremely good at sneak attacks. It will be very difficult to wipe them out in one go." At any time, Li Qingyang would analyze rationally. "Qingyang, the best way to deal with this kind of shady organization is to be even more shady than them and be even more secretive." Jun Changshao said. Li Qingyang understood. The sect master wanted to use the assassin's best method to wipe out the Drizzle Building. Jun Changshao said, "You will temporarily take care of the sect. Zui Ji and I will deal with those disgusting flies hiding in the dark." Li Qingyang originally wanted to go with them, but he remembered that the sect master was a man of his word. He nodded and said, "I will take care of Iron Bone." The Drizzle Building was not in Qingyang County. It was in a deep mountain forest in the outer county. This organization had existed in the Jianghu for a long time. Their business was, "If you give me money, I'll help you get rid of disasters." Many sects or martial artists had enemies that needed to be dealt with. They would often contact the Drizzle Building through underground channels and send assassins to deal with all their problems. The internal division of the Drizzle Building was very clear. The building master was the highest commander, followed by the ace assassin, gold assassin, and silver assassin. First black was a gold assassin, and second black was a silver assassin. This kind of organization had strict rules. Betraying the organization, accepting a mission without permission, or not returning late would basically be sentenced to death. First black and second black knew that they had broken the rules by not returning late, so they were one of the reasons why they confessed. Bang! Suddenly, the quiet forest was broken by a loud sound, startling the birds and beasts. Swoosh! Swoosh! 2 black figures flew out from the dark and landed under a big tree. Seeing that their companion's chest was pierced, they immediately became alert. They looked towards the direction of the gunshot and found that there was no one except for the big tree and bushes. "Damn it, who has the guts to ambush our Drizzle Building assassins in the dark?" one of the black figures said angrily. Bang! At this moment, a gunshot came from the side. Hot blood splashed on his face. His companion beside him also fell to the ground with a hole in his chest. That Drizzle Building assassin was so scared that his scalp was about to explode. He quickly turned around and tried to escape. Ka! Just as he turned around, a cold object was pressed against his forehead. Jun Changshao, who was wearing sunglasses and holding a cigar, held the Desert Eagle in his right hand. When he pulled the trigger, he said calmly, "May there be no guns in heaven." Bang! The gunshot sounded again, shaking the leaves until they fell. After taking care of the 3 Drizzle Building assassins, Jun Changshao habitually searched his body. After making sure that there was nothing good, he gestured to Xiao Ziji in the dark and quickly disappeared. Not long after, the Drizzle Building assassins who were alarmed by the gunshot all rushed over. When they saw that their 3 companions had died, their eyes were filled with killing intent. This was their territory, and they were ambushed by others. 1, 2, 3, Xiao Zuiji, who was leaning against the mossy rock and covered in weeds, looked like he was wearing a ghillie suit. He was counting the number of targets. 10 people, huh? Xiao Ziji's eyes leaned on the scope and aimed at the chest of an assassin. Then, he pulled the trigger. With a bang sound, the bullet shot out and directly pierced through the chest of 2 assassins who were close to each other. Jun Changshao, who was sitting on a tree branch far away, saw this and grinned. 1 against 2, not bad, not bad. After taking care of the 2 assassins, Xiao Ziji picked up the Type 88 sniper rifle and bent down to hide in the grass. With the help of the ghillie suit, he changed to another hiding place. Only in the complicated forest could it be considered a ghost duel between a sniper and an assassin. However, from the looks of it, the Drizzle building assassins were in the open while Xiao Ziji was hiding in the dark. Chapter 128. Sha Sha Sha. In the dark forest, Xiao Ziji, who seemed to be wearing a ghillie suit, jumped out from the pile of rocks. Just now, he fired another shot and killed one of the Drizzle building assassins on the spot. This guy was really like a ghost, it was impossible to guard against him. Jun Chengshao, who was hiding in the dark, did not make a move. In his opinion, this kind of harsh forest environment was undoubtedly the best opportunity to train Xiao Ziji. The frequent gunshots and the death of 6 of their companions angered the Drizzle building. More assassins rushed out, there were about 30 to 50 of them. Among them, there was no lack of gold-ranked assassins. They judged that the guy hiding in the dark had some kind of hidden weapon, so they would deliberately stay close to cover when searching. It was useless. As long as they were locked on by Xiao Ziji in the dark, even if the gold-ranked assassin heard the gunshot, he would not be able to dodge in time and would be directly pierced through the chest. The Type 88 sniper rifle was just that ruthless. Jun Chengshao thought to himself, if an AWM was spawned, it would definitely be more exciting to fight. Bang! Bang! An hour later. Xiao Ziji fired 10 shots and killed 11 people, not missing a single shot. However, the weakness was that the sniper rifle's sound was too loud. He could only change his position after each shot. Otherwise, if he stayed in the same place, he would definitely be discovered. After training with Yi Xingqian in the wild, he was better adapted to fighting in the wild. Sometimes, he would lie still in the bushes, and it would be difficult for the assassins to discover him. Jun Chengshao said, the sniper rifle's power is not bad, but it's too loud. It would be perfect if there was a silencer. Xiao Ziji sat on a tree branch. He communicated with his mind and inserted the crystal into the groove of the magazine. After filling the magazine with 10 bullets, he skillfully pulled the bolt and loaded the gun. This movement was very professional. There's someone on the tree. A gold-ranked assassin relied on his assassin's intuition to discover Xiao Ziji and then shouted loudly. If it was before, it would be them hiding in the dark, not daring to make any noise. Now that it was the other way around, it was a bit ironic. Schwa. After the gold-ranked assassin who had reached the level of rank 3 martial disciple notified his companions, he jumped up in the next second and waved his right hand. Swish! Swish! 3 beams of cold light shot out from different directions. Xiao Ziji didn't even look in the mirror and directly fired a shot. The stream photon bullet burst out, shattering the hidden weapon and penetrating the opponent's chest. Due to the shoulder shot, the recoil caused him to fly out of the tree. Then, he spun in the air and landed on the ground. Then, he dove into the bushes like a wild cat. As soon as he left, a few killers rushed over. However, he only saw the corpses of his companions and did not see anyone on the tree. TSK, this kid used the recoil to retreat and then calmly escaped. He is indeed a natural sniper. Jun Chengshao praised. There's someone here. Suddenly, a shout came from the tree behind him. Boom! Jun Chengshao raised his Desert Eagle and fired a shot behind him, killing the silver medal assassin. Noisy, he said indifferently. Schwa! With a tap of his feet, he flew away from his original spot. 2 hours later. Xiao Ziji, who was hiding in the dark, fired 2 rounds of bullets and killed more than 20 killers. Jun Chengshao did not make any more moves and secretly observed the situation. Drizzle building was enraged and sent out more than 50 killers. Although they could not find the person hiding in the dark, they gradually opened up a large net according to the gunshots and formed an encirclement. As long as they kept shrinking, they would definitely find him. Goo goo. The sound of birds could be heard. Xiao Ziji, who had already revealed his gun and was about to shoot, put away his Type 88 sniper rifle and quietly left their encirclement. He hid in a cave a few miles away. Not long after, Jun Changshao came. Sect leader. Xiao Ziji did not understand. Why did you retreat? Jun Changshao sat down and took a puff of his cigar. Will killers continue to fight after killing? No. Xiao Ziji said. Jun Changshao said, so, today we are only giving Drizzle Building a greeting gift. There will be more exciting things later. No matter if the killer killed the target or not, as long as they made a move, they would not continue to fight and would immediately disappear. Jun Changshao told Xiao Ziji to retreat because he wanted to give them a taste of their own medicine and make them feel like they had nothing left to live for. Drizzle Building's headquarters was not a pavilion, but a natural cave on the mountain wall not far from the waterfall. Killing people naturally offended a lot of forces, but by relying on the complex terrain of the cave, they were able to avoid being destroyed many times. But these 2 days, Drizzle Building was a bit annoyed. Because there were more professional killers hiding in the dark, they would appear from time to time and disappear after killing a few members. Damn it! In a cave somewhere in the headquarters, Drizzle Building's second in command, the ace killer codenamed Scorpion, slammed the stone table and said angrily, "Who is it that is secretly attacking us?" As an assassin organization, their members were assassinated one after another. Anyone with a bit of temper would definitely not be able to stand it. Moreover, Drizzle Building had very few killers, so it was very difficult to train them. Not to mention dozens of deaths, even 3 to 5 deaths would be a great loss. There were 3 ace killers in the cave, their code names were Viper, Mountain Cat, and Black Eagle. The 4 of them were the Drizzle Building's leaders' left and right arms. Other than special missions, they would usually stay in the headquarters and be in charge of all kinds of missions. The ace killer named Viper said in a deep voice, the dead members were all pierced through their heads or chests by some kind of power. It should be a very powerful hidden weapon. Not long ago on Spirit Spring Mountain, Iron Bone's disciple used a hidden weapon called God-powered flaming gun to intimidate a few Wuzong. Mountain Cat guessed, could the person hiding in the dark be using this thing? It's possible. Black Eagle said. Scorpion said angrily, if that's the case, the one hiding in the dark is Iron Bone. Our Drizzle Building sent out assassins one after another, but they couldn't get rid of the leader. They dare to send people to assassinate our people, they are too bold. Second brother, they are hiding in the dark while we are out in the open, we are too passive. Black Shadow said with a face full of murderous intent, why don't we bring our brothers to Iron Bone and wipe them out? Young man, you are too naive. Since Sect leader Jun dared to assassinate us, he had already activated the Sect protection array and ordered his disciples not to go out. If you send assassins over, not only will it be a wasted trip, you might even become live targets and be killed by Xiao Ziji one by one. Sigh. Viper shook his head, I already said that the mission to assassinate Iron Bone's leader can't be accepted without the agreement of the leader. Now look, we have met a tough opponent and lost so many of our members. Scorpion's face darkened. He accepted the mission to assassinate Jun Changshao after receiving money from the Spirit Spring Sect. But at that time, he didn't think that a 9th-rate sect's leader would be so difficult to deal with. Not only did he fail repeatedly, he even lost a few gold medal assassins. Pang! Another explosion came from outside. The 4 of them didn't need to think, there must be another member who was ambushed. Pa! Black Eagle slammed the table and said angrily, second brother, I will take people out and catch that guy. Viper said, you must be careful. Black Eagle put on his night clothes, equipped with all kinds of hidden weapons, and left the headquarters with more than 10 assassins that he trained. On the opposite side of the cave, on a tree a few hundred meters away, Jun Changshao took a bite of an apple. While chewing, he smiled and said, Peak Martial Disciple, the big fish finally came out. Chapter 129. More than 10 assassins came out of the cave. Jun Changshao, who was wearing a pair of sunglasses, relied on the detection function to capture all of their strength. Without a doubt, that Peak Martial Disciple was one of the 4 ace assassins of Drizzle Building. Sha sha sha. Xiao Ziji came out from the bushes, stood under the tree and said in a low voice, Sect leader, we killed another one. Jun Changshao took a bite of the apple, threw it casually and said, give me the gun. Xiao Ziji threw the Type 88 sniper rifle. Shwa. Jun Changshao caught the sniper rifle, held it with one hand, leaned his head towards the 8x scope, and aimed at Black Eagle's body. He decided to get rid of one of Drizzle Building's ace assassins first, to make him more afraid and more desperate. Should I lock the head, or lock the chest? Jun Changshao thought for a while and said, in any case, he is a small leader of Drizzle Building, give him a decent death. Confirmed, lock the chest. Pang! The bullet shot out, flying straight. The black shadow that just came out of the cave heard the movement, his pupils contracted, and a strong aura of death instantly filled his heart. Boom! The bullet hit the target directly. Jun Changxiao's mouth raised into a smile, but the next second, his smile froze. Through the scope, he clearly saw that the moment the bullet got close to the guy, it was blocked by a barrier similar to a formation. What's going on? The system said, the opponent has a defensive treasure that formed a barrier and blocked the bullet. Yes. The oval-shaped flowing light barrier around the Black Eagle was activated by a treasure known as the Spirit Formation Compass. Boundary Compass. Mid-grade defensive treasure. The owner could infuse their thoughts into it and instantly activate the barrier, enveloping themselves and forming an indestructible defense. The boundary compass was accidentally obtained by Black Eagle after he assassinated the target of the mission, and then he kept it with him in case of emergency. After hearing the gunshot and feeling the aura of death, he didn't hesitate to activate the barrier, which was why he was able to block the bullet. Fortunately, the shooting distance was far away, which gave him a few tenths of a second to activate the barrier. If he had been 200 or 300 meters closer, he definitely wouldn't have had the chance to activate the barrier. Although the boundary compass was able to block the flowing photon bullet, the location where it was bombarded was already in a shattered state. Plop! Black Eagle sat paralyzed on the ground, cold sweat trickling down his forehead, and a chill ran down his spine. In a fraction of a second, he had experienced life and death. Assassins were not afraid of death, but to personally experience the feeling of the Grim Reaper brushing past one's shoulder, it would definitely leave one with a rich aftertaste. Boom! Jun Changshao pulled the trigger again, and a stream photon bullet shot out. Black Eagle, who thought that he had just walked out of the gates of hell, heard the explosion. His scalp suddenly exploded, and the thought of death that had just fallen rose up again. It was even more intense than before. It's over. No, it's not over. I want to live. A strong desire to survive rose in his heart, forcing him to remove the broken barrier. He suddenly grabbed at his subordinates, obviously wanting to pull them in front of him. His subordinates could die. I can't die. However, could the speed of pulling someone out be faster than a bullet shot from a sniper rifle? It was obviously impossible, so he did not pull his subordinates over, and did not form a shield to block the bullet. With a boom, his chest was mercilessly pierced through. Black Eagle lowered his head stiffly, and looked at his chest that was pierced through. His eyes gradually became unfocused, and finally, his body fell down. He was one of the 4 ace assassins of Drizzle Building, and had carried out more than 500 assassination missions. His killing methods were mostly to pierce the target's chest with his sharp fingers like an eagle's claws, and then pull out the heart before ruthlessly crushing it. Every time he held the burning and beating heart of the person he killed, he would always ask with a ferocious expression, "You who have no heart, how does it feel? How does it feel?" Black Eagle did not understand in the past, but now he understood. Because his heart was directly shattered by the flowing light, that feeling was incomparably painful, and it also had the pain of tearing every inch of his skin. An assassin who killed people for fun had his heart shattered with a single shot. It was exactly the same as the old saying cause and effect, retribution. On a distant tree, Jun Changshao said indifferently, "There's nothing that can't be solved with a single shot. If there is, then 2 shots. Boss." The assassins who witnessed Black Eagle's death cried out sorrowfully. But they were like stray dogs, completely ignoring their boss's corpse, and rushed towards the cave one by one. "Want to leave?" Pang! 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 Jun Changshao fired 7 shots consecutively, and used up all the bullets in his magazine. Only then was he unable to bear the recoil, and was directly sent flying. As for the more than 10 assassins who ran towards the cave, 7 of them were killed on the spot. Schwa! Schwa! At the same time, the dozens of assassins who were in charge of searching around heard the gunshots and rushed over. But they did not see Jun Changshao and Xiao Ziji, and only saw a half-eaten apple on the ground. Black Eagle, one of the 4 ace assassins of Drizzle Building, had his heart pierced through, and his evil life ended. After Scorpion and the other 2 heard about it, they were furious. Although assassins did not care about emotions, Black Eagle was still an ace assassin, and one of the elders of Drizzle Building, and they had worked together for a long time. Just as they left the cave, he was killed by someone in the dark. This was really unacceptable. Ah ah! Scorpion hugged his head and roared, "I must catch that guy, I must tear him into pieces." Viper said calmly, "Black Eagle had a defensive treasure, but he was still killed. The power of that hidden weapon is really terrifying, we must not act rashly. Old 3, quickly send the order to withdraw all the subordinates outside. Without orders, no one is allowed to leave the headquarters." Okay. Lynx hurriedly left, and used a special communication method to inform the assassins outside to return to the headquarters in a very short time. If it was like this from the beginning, there would not be too much loss. Unfortunately, Jun Changshao didn't allow Xiao Zuiji to fire recklessly, because he wanted to give them the impression that the enemy was only capable of sneak attacks and could be killed as soon as they were caught. That was why he constantly sent people out to search for them. In the cave, Jun Changshao grimaced in pain as he rubbed the shoulder where the gun hit him. The numbness and pain only dissipated after a long time. With his cultivation as an 8th-grade martial disciple and the strength of his body, he could take 2 or 3 shots with the Type 88 sniper rifle, but it would definitely not work if the number of shots increased. Xiao Ziji looked at the sect leader with a face full of admiration. Just now, the view was extremely good, and it was daytime. He clearly saw the sect leaders follow up 7 shots in one go, and all 7 assassins were killed. Oh my god! This spear technique was simply too godly. Xiao Ziji clenched his fist, and said with a firm gaze, "Sect leader, I will train harder, and soon I will be able to master such godly spear techniques like yours." Jun Changshao's mouth twitched, and said to himself, "Once this goal is set, I'm afraid it will be far in the future." The next day, he did not let Xiao Ziji continue the operation, because the other side had lost one of their leaders. They must have realized that the problem was bigger than they thought. Right now, they should be like frightened rats, hiding in the hole and not daring to come out. Jun Changshao rubbed his temples, and murmured, "Next, we should think about how to kill all the rats in the hole." He thought of many ideas. For example, blocking the hole with smoke, or drawing the water from the waterfall to directly flood the rat hole. But he gave up on all of them, because if there was another exit, it would only waste time. Drizzle Building Headquarters. Scorpion and Viper were also discussing how to find the person in the dark. After all, hiding in the cave was not a solution. Lynx said, "When night comes, I will take a few subordinates out from the back door, and quietly search." This method is feasible. Viper agreed, "We underestimated the enemy at the beginning, and sent out too many people, giving the other side an opportunity. If we split up and make full use of our advantages, we can definitely find them." Chapter 130. The forest at night was even more eerie and scary. In the pitch-black night, one could faintly hear the sound of wind breaking. It was Mountain Cat and the 4 gold-ranked assassins. They fully displayed the Dark Spectre's power. At this time, even Xiao Ziji, who was outside the cave, could not see them with his scope, because in the night, his vision was greatly affected. The assassins of Drizzle Building who walked in the dark were definitely very professional. This was also their advantage, but because they could not stand being assassinated in the beginning, they were not able to use it well. Sha sha sha. Mountain Cat and the 4 gold-ranked assassins spread out, searching the area with a clear goal. At this rate, they would only need around 2 hours to find the cave where Jun Changshao was staying. Goo goo dash. In the dark night, the occasional bird call could be heard. In such a dark environment, it sounded a little creepy. Sitting cross-legged in the cave, Jun Changshao cultivated the body metamorphose scripture while thinking about how to destroy the Drizzle Building. Are there any items like grenades in the market? He asked. The system said, yes, but it has to be refreshed. Jun Changshao muttered, if this thing is refreshed, I can just buy it and throw it into the rat hole, wouldn't that be great? In his opinion, since there were grenades in the market, their power would definitely be stronger than normal grenades. Not to mention a cave, it would not be a problem to blow up a mountain, right? The last time it refreshed, only the dazzling light sunglasses had value, the others were not that useful, so it was necessary to refresh. He opened the status panel and fiercely scrolled down. Ding! Sect contribution points, 300500. A new item appeared. Jun Changshao looked carefully, but did not find any grenades, but unexpectedly obtained a sword technique manual called Ling Jian Divine Technique. He clicked on the introduction item, Ling Jian Divine Technique Introduction, a sword technique created by a sword emperor of a certain world. There are a total of 3 styles. They are 1-word quick technique, 2-word force technique, and 3-word chi transformation technique. Effect: the first style can form a cold and swift sword chi, the second style can form a sword force, the third style can form a sword chi, the third style can form a rainbow sword chi, beheading people from 1,000 miles away. Strength: martial disciple can cultivate it. As one's cultivation of the martial way and sword way increases, its power will increase as well. It can be used as a main sword technique to comprehend. Weakness: although it is easy to learn, it is difficult to master. Price: 100 contribution points. Grade: High Divine Grade Sword Art. Fuck. Looking at the grade introduction, Jun Changshao couldn't be bothered with his cultivation. Swoosh, he jumped to his feet, exclaiming, High Divine Grade Sword Art. The system said, Dog's Hit, Luck. Coming across a high-grade divine grade sword art with the intention of farming grenades, Huang Xiaolong's luck was unparalleled. Jun Changshao calmed down and rubbed his chin. It's a little expensive. The system said, the chances of obtaining a high-grade divine grade martial skill is lower than a sniper rifle. If you think it's too expensive, you don't have to buy it. Jun Changshao was puzzled. It's the same 100 contribution points, but why is the probability of a divine grade martial arts technique lower than a sniper rifle? The system said, the sniper rifle is just a modified product. It's effective at lower levels, but once you encounter a martial king or above, it's almost useless. Why is it useless? Jun Changshao wanted to get to the bottom of it. The system explained, martial king level powerhouses have formed spiritual awareness and can spy within a certain range. Even if it's a tiny speck of dust, you can definitely catch it when you fire. I have self-aiming, so what if I catch it? Jun Changshao said nonchalantly. The system said, martial kings not only have spiritual awareness, they can also materialize their spiritual energy to form a defensive wall. It's hard to break through with the sniper rifle's damage alone. You can use high-quality crystal cores as bullets. Firearms are just modified products. Does the host expect to use them as rocket launchers? I understand. You mean, sniper rifles are less useful at higher levels, but rocket launchers can be used. The system, the host's brain circuits were not on the same line as its own. Let me put it this way. The store's guns are just modified products. If you want to become stronger in the world of martial arts, you have to rely on various martial arts techniques because they are far more powerful than firearms. I see. Jun Changshao complained, if you had explained earlier, I would have understood. The system said, so you're blaming me? If I don't blame you, then blame me. Jun Changshao said. The system couldn't help but say, fuck you. Fuck you. Jun Changshao said, the system even cursed. Who designed this unscrupulous product? The system not only cursed, it also had a temper. It repeated important things 3 times, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Fuck, if you were alone, I'd definitely beat you up. Come, I'm in your mind. If you have the guts, punch me in the head. You really think I don't dare? Xiao Zueji, who was outside, heard the commotion. He turned his head and looked over. He could vaguely see the sect leader inside the cave with his hand on his forehead. Puzzled, he asked, is he cultivating? Phew. Jun Changshao sat down, shook his head, then pressed the purchase button. Ding. The host has spent 100 contribution points. Received Ling Jian Divine Technique X1. It has been transferred to the space ring. Ding. Sect contribution points, 200500. He knew that the system was telling him that in a high-level martial arts world, martial arts were the most important. Not to mention 100 contribution points, even if he spent all his contribution points, he would still buy it. Moreover, the third move of the sword technique was to behead someone from 1,000 miles away. If he could really comprehend it, it would definitely be comparable to an intercontinental missile. After it entered the space ring, Jun Changshao held the few pages of the sword technique in his hand. He flipped to the first page. It said, comprehending the sword for 6,000 years, at the moment of breaking through the void, looking back on the path of this life, all sorts of feelings welled up in my heart. Thus, I created this sword technique and left it for the future generations. I hope it will be carried forward and spread the name of the Solitary Sword Emperor. Solitary Sword Emperor. The first person Jun Changshao thought of was Dugu Qiubai. The system said, look carefully. He is solitary, not Dugu. Oh, right. Jun Changshao rubbed his chin and said, this senior must be very lonely, right? Forget it, let's cultivate first. He flipped to the second page. The chants and sword moves were displayed. Jun Changshao squatted in the space ring, frowning from time to time with his head lowered, as if he was constipated. Ah. After a while, he hugged his head and said, this is a bit profound. The system poured cold water on him and said, this is a high-level divine sword technique. Without a divine spirit root and talent in the sword Dao, the chances of the host comprehending it is 0. I don't believe it. Jun Changshao opened the system interface and clicked on the purchased items section. He bought the Talisman of Insight that had reached its refresh time. Ding. Host spent 10 contribution points. Received Elementary Talisman of Insight X1. It has been transferred to the space ring. Ding. Sect contribution points, 190500. System. Jun Changshao crushed the Talisman of Insight and immediately entered the state of comprehension. He flipped to the second page of the sword technique and began to comprehend it. Needless to say, he did not succeed. The system gloated, the Talisman of Insight cannot be used to comprehend the martial arts purchased from the store. Fuck. Jun Changshao finally remembered and said, when I bought it, why didn't you tell me when I used it? You made me so angry that I forgot. The system said. Jun Changshao's little heart suddenly hurt. After all, that was 10 contribution points. Since he bought it, then he bought it. It did not matter. However, he could not comprehend it and had to use it. This was definitely a huge waste. Jun Changshao, who thought that he could comprehend the sword technique by using the Talisman of Insight, had suffered a double loss. Sigh. He had no choice but to continue comprehending it. Speaking of which, it was strange. He could not understand the sword technique at first, but after staring at it for more than 10 minutes, he gradually understood it. The more he looked, the more enlightened he became. Shwa. Taking out the cold-edged sword, according to the chant, he channeled his spirit energy into the sword and waved it lightly. Instantly, a sword light was formed. Is it done? Jun Changshao said in surprise. The system said, Ling Jian's divine art is easy to learn but hard to master. The host is still thousands of miles away from mastering it. Jun Changshao was too lazy to care about it and turned to the third page. Sect Master. At this time, Xiao Ziji rushed in and said in a low voice, I keep feeling that there are people outside. Oh. Jun Changshao walked out and found that it was pitch black all around. There was nothing unusual. He reached out his hand and said, Give me the gun. Shwa. Xiao Ziji handed over the Type 88 sniper rifle. Jun Changshao raised the gun and looked at the 8x scope. He used 5 contribution points to activate the self-aiming and X-ray function. After looking around half a circle, he caught sight of 5 assassins 2 kilometers away. There really were people. Wearing the sunglasses and using the 8x scope's X-ray function, he saw that one of them was a peak martial disciple. Jun Changshao smiled coldly. Another big fish came out. Chapter 131. Mountain Cat and his 4 subordinates kept a certain distance from each other as they searched. They were very professional and careful. Unfortunately, when Jun Changshao turned on his X-ray vision, he could clearly capture their every move even if it was dark and far away. Lu Lai Buddha possessed the body, and mortals were just ants. Seeing what they were searching for, Jun Changshao murmured, This is a group of little mice who don't want to hide in a hole and have dreams. Xiao Ziji said, Sect leader, is there anyone? Yes. Jun Changshao said, Hide. He had to praise his disciple for being so vigilant. Okay. Xiao Ziji hid in a bush and kept absolutely still. Jun Changshao carried his gun and blended into the forest. He took out Cold Edge from his spatial ring. He had just learned a little bit of the linear speed technique when these assassins came. They definitely wanted to test its power. Swish. With the help of the 8x X-ray vision, Jun Changshao jumped onto a tall tree and hid. If the assassin in front of him didn't turn, he would definitely pass by here. 500 meters away. The gold medal assassin didn't know that no matter how careful he was, his tracks had been exposed and he was walking towards death. The night was very dark and quiet. Gusts of cold wind blew, making people's hair stand on end. The assassin near the ambush area shuddered and cursed, Damn it, why is there cold wind in this season? Swish suddenly, a cold light flashed above. Huh! Mountain Cat caught the light and rushed over. Seeing his subordinate standing still, he lowered his voice and said, Little Seven, what's going on? The assassin didn't say anything and just stood still. Mountain Cat frowned and was about to get closer when he saw his subordinate lower his head. Then, his head fell to the ground and blood spurted out. This scene was too sudden and too horrifying. Even Mountain Cat, who had a strong mentality, couldn't help but take 2 steps back when he saw his subordinate's head fall. His eyes were filled with horror. What happened? Why did Little Seven's head fall for no reason? The light just now. Whoosh, while he was thinking, a cold light flashed in his field of vision. He hurriedly walked over and saw another subordinate standing in the same place. Little 8, as soon as Mountain Cat shouted, his subordinate immediately knelt on the ground. A small sword wound appeared on his neck. Then, he lowered his head and died. That cold light. It must be the sword light. Shwa. Mountain Cat hurriedly became alert and held the hidden weapon in his sleeve in his hand. His eyes kept darting around and gradually became fearful. Of his 2 subordinates, one had his head chopped off, and the other had his throat slit. In just a few breaths of time, the attacker's sword was too fast. He was definitely someone who had received professional training. Boss! The other two killers saw the cold light and approached from both sides. However, before one of them could even get close, he felt a chill coming from behind him. Whoosh! A cold light flashed. Plop! The gold medal assassin fell to the ground with a loud thud. There was a deep sword wound on his back. Because the speed of the attack was too fast, it was difficult for blood to flow out of the wound in a short time. Little 9. The lynx's eyes were about to pop out of their sockets as he rushed over. His voice broke the silence of the forest. Whoosh! The sword light flashed again. Another assassin stood up and knelt on the ground. He lowered his head and died. In a short time, 4 gold medal assassins were killed. The whole process could be said to have happened in a flash. Mountain Cat did not see anyone at all. Ah! He turned around and shouted angrily, "Who is it? Get out here!" The first principle of an assassin was to stay calm no matter when and where. He could not be emotional. However, Mountain Cat could not do that at the moment. This mysterious killing method made him extremely fearful. Shouting out loud was also to boost his courage. Sha-sha-sha. A soft sound came from behind him. Mountain Cat turned around abruptly. However, he did not see anyone. The fear in his eyes became more intense. Assassins who walked at night often were sometimes more afraid of the dark and supernatural than ordinary people. Sha-sha-sha. Sha-sha-sha. The sound of friction kept coming to his ears. No matter how Mountain Cat looked in the direction of the sound, he could not see anyone. It was as if the one hiding in the dark was not a person, but a ghost. Calm down, calm down. Mountain Cat shook his head and tried to suppress the rising fear in his heart. When he stabilized and raised his head, a face suddenly appeared in front of him. It appeared in his vision. Ah! A horrified cry came from the mountain forest. Xiao Ziji heard the horrifying cry and could not help but shiver. He secretly said, "Did I run into a ghost?" Mountain Cat staggered back more than 10 steps. His eyes were full of fear and horror. In front of him, Jun Changshao tilted his head and smiled. "Your psychological quality is quite strong. You didn't piss your pants?" Mountain Cat suppressed his fear and said, "It's a person, not a ghost." "TSK TSK. Jun Changshao said, "You assassins also believe in ghosts and gods. Is it because you walk at night too much?" "Damn it." Mountain Cat's eyes were about to pop out. He suddenly waved his right hand and the 3 hidden darts in his hand flew out instantly. Combined with the infusion of spiritual energy, the speed was very fast. Swish! Swish! Jun Changshao used a strange footwork to dodge. He stood on the side and said, "With these hidden darts, you can't hurt me." Mountain Cat was shocked. You used ghost leap steps. Are you surprised?" Jun Changshao said. How could he not be surprised? Ghost leap steps is Drizzle Building's unique movement technique. Its quality is high mortal grade. When used, it is like a ghost. Mountain Cat was shocked. How did you learn it and use it so skillfully? Although Ghost Leap Steps had not reached the middle grade level, martial artists with decent talent would have to put in at least 3 to 5 years to cultivate it successfully. Yi-Hei and Er-Hei were abducted and sold to the organization when they were 8 or 9 years old. After studying it for more than 10 years, they barely reached great mastery. I just learned it casually. Jun Changshao said. He wasn't bragging. When he was squatting on the tree and setting up an ambush, he used an insight talisman that hadn't passed the time limit and took out the Ghost Leap Step secret manual that he obtained long ago. He learned it in one go and even comprehended it to the extreme. One has to know that even Drizzle Building's owner has only comprehended Ghost Leap Steps to great mastery. It was no wonder that Jun Changshao was able to kill people without making a sound. He was able to frighten an ace assassin with a strong mental fortitude into thinking that he had seen a ghost. As for the linear sword art that he just learned, it didn't have any power at all. It was driven by speed and cold-edge sword. In that case, the insight talisman wasn't used in vain. At least he learned a movement technique. Even if he was beaten to death, he couldn't say that he lost, he could only earn. Impossible, Mountain Cat said in disbelief, Ghost Leap Steps hasn't been practiced repeatedly. It's impossible to learn it in one go. That's not important. What's important is... Jun Changxiao's cold-edged sword slipped out of his sleeve and held it on the hilt. He said with a cold gaze, "You're about to die." Swoosh! Mountain Cat turned around and used Ghost Leap Steps to enter the forest while he was speaking. From the fact that 4 of his subordinates were killed to the fact that he was able to walk around him without being discovered, he realized that this guy's strength was terrifying. Therefore, escaping was the wisest choice. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. After running for dozens of meters, Mountain Cat looked back and saw that the sword light was faintly discernible in the distance. He realized that the other party didn't chase after him. A cold smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. This distance gave him enough confidence that he could successfully escape under the cover of night and the complicated forest environment and return to the headquarters smoothly. Bang! Suddenly, a loud sound came from behind him. Mountain Cat, who was thinking that he had escaped, suddenly changed his expression. The next second, he felt a heart-wrenching pain coming from his right shoulder. His right arm was directly knocked off. Mountain Cat, who lost his balance, directly crashed into a big tree and then fell into the grass. His face was abnormally ferocious. Swoosh! Not long after, Jun Changxiao walked over and squatted in front of him. He smiled eerily and said, "The prey that I've set my eyes on is either dead or crippled. They will never escape." Because of the excessive bleeding, his vision gradually became blurry. Mountain Cat seemed to see a smiling face that came from hell and also seemed to be a demon's. Chapter 132. Mountain Cat who had lost an arm did not die. He just fainted due to excessive blood loss and was carried back to the cave by Jun Changxiao. Sect leader. After Xiao Ziji was in charge of simply stopping the bleeding and bandaging the wound, he said, "What's the point of keeping him?" Jun Changxiao said, "This guy can't die. He still has other uses. For example, he can be used as bait to lure more fish." Oh. Xiao Ziji understood. From the assassination of Drizzle Building's assassins to finding the hidden enemies and dealing with them one by one, the sect leader's steadiness and confidence made him admire him a lot. Jun Changxiao ordered, "Go out and find some rattan ropes and tie him up." Okay. Xiao Ziji walked out of the cave and cut out a bunch of sturdy rattan ropes. He then tied up the fainted Mountain Cat tightly. Drizzle Building's headquarters. Scorpion paced back and forth in the cave with his hands behind his back. His face was filled with anxiety and impatience. Mountain Cat had brought 4 people out last night. It was already daytime and no one had returned. This made him very worried. Viper, who was like Drizzle Building's AI, was calmer and more pessimistic. He said, "There was a noise last night. Mountain Cat is most likely in trouble." Scorpion said in a low voice, "Mountain Cat is definitely not in trouble." Why was he so sure? Because of his code name. Mountain Cat was a nimble and strong animal. He was cunning and cautious. He was extremely good at hiding and was known as a night hunter. Drizzle Building would conduct a member test every once in a while. In survival and stealth mode, as long as Mountain Cat participated, he would undoubtedly be number 1. Scorpion and Mountain Cat had joined the organization together. They had grown from silver to ace assassins. They had also done many assassination missions. They knew his strength like the back of their hands. Mountain Cat was very strong. Unfortunately, he met Jun Changxiao. He was destined for tragedy. And the only thing we mortals can do is to shout. Everyone has the responsibility to resist the cheat. Not good. At this moment, an assassin ran in and pointed outside. Fourth brother is, outside, outside. Scorpion and Viper hurried to the entrance of the cave. They saw a person hanging on a tree a few hundred meters in front of them. Mountain Cat. Scorpion was enraged and was about to charge out. Viper hurriedly stopped him and said in a low voice, "He's luring us out on purpose. Don't fall into his trap." Boom! Scorpion gathered his fury on his arm and punched the mountain wall. His eyes almost popped out of their sockets as he said, "That person in the dark, if I catch you, I'll torture you until you wish you were dead." Opposite the entrance of Drizzle Building's headquarters, one of the 4 ace assassins, Lynx, was hung up as bait. In the distance, Xiao Ziji was crouching in the grass, aiming his gun. As long as anyone dared to approach, they would definitely die. Jun Changshao leaned against the tree and took a bite of the apple. "I'll let you know that the consequences of offending me, Iron Bone, are much worse than being assassinated by assassins." He was not an evil person, nor did he want to be one. But the principle he always followed was that whoever provoked him, he would provoke him. After the Drizzle Building's first assassination attempt failed, Jun Changshao would not care if they gave up. After all, assassins were in this line of work. If they wanted to find someone, they had to find their employer. However, they did not know what was good for them and kept sending people over. Especially when they wanted to plot against his disciple in the dark. This completely angered Jun Changshao. What was the bottom line? "Don't provoke me, don't provoke me, don't provoke my disciple." Even the usually gentle rabbit would bite when provoked. In a world where martial arts were respected, I don't want to be an evil person, but I also won't be a good person. Since the heavens gave me the system, the only thing I can do is not to be bullied, that's all. When Jun Changshao became serious, he was definitely not the sect leader who worked hard to be funny. "Circle it, I'll test it later." Night came. Jun Changshao replaced Xiao Ziji and aimed his gun at the position where Lynx was hung up. Even the ace assassin who was the best at hiding was captured. Drizzle Building would definitely not dare to rescue him in the dark, so the night passed by peacefully. The next day, after Xiao Ziji was replaced, Jun Changshao continued to browse the mall. After all, waiting for the fish to take the bait was too slow. It was best to take the initiative to cast the net and catch the fish. When he scrolled to the last section, he saw a product called Magic Modified Tear Gas Grenade. He did not get a grenade, but a tear gas grenade. No doubt it was a bit fucked up. This item only cost 10 contribution points. The introduction said that after using it, a large area of negative smoke will be formed. After the enemy inhales it, they will cry loudly and even lose control of their emotions, doing irrational things. Lose control of their emotions? Jun Changshao rubbed his chin and said, "Seems a bit interesting." Ding! Host has spent 10 contribution points, received Magic Modified, Tear Gas Grenade X1, has been transferred to the spatial ring. Ding! Sect contribution points, 175500. Jun Changshao took out the tear gas grenade and said, "Let's try throwing one." "Give me the gun." Shwa! Xiao Ziji passed it over. Jun Changshao grabbed the Type 88 sniper rifle and then approached Drizzle Building's headquarters. Just as he was about to reach the cave, holes appeared in the stone wall and arrows shot out. Sect leader Jun, who was already on guard, used ghost leap steps to beautifully dodge the arrows. Then, he landed at the cave entrance and fired 3 shots. The stone door in front of him was pierced through, leaving a fist-sized hole. Sect leader Jun rolled and pressed his gun against the stone door. He picked up the tear gas grenade and bit it on the buckle. Then, he forcefully pulled it and threw it into the hole. This was a standard action of a Special Forces soldier. Jun Changshao did not leave immediately. Instead, he pressed against the stone door and listened for any sounds. Cici, very quickly, the sound of air leaking came from inside. Then, he saw a white fog seeping out of the hole. Done. Jun Changshao held his gun and left confidently. Sha sha sha. Not long after, Jun Changshao returned to the dark place. He threw the Type 88 sniper rifle to Xiao Ziji and said, "Look at the cave entrance. Maybe in a while, someone will." At this point, he suddenly remembered his tragic past on Earth and transmigrated to another world. Tears immediately flowed out of his eyes. The system said, "It's over." The host smelled the tear gas. Xiao Ziji, who was about to shoot, was stunned and asked, "Sect leader, why are you crying?" Jun Changshao wiped his tears and cried, "Don't. Woo woo woo. Don't worry about me. Hurry up. Woo woo woo. Hurry up and shoot for me." "Okay." Xiao Ziji's mouth twitched. He hurriedly glanced at the cave entrance. Sect leader Jun's mind was full of sad thoughts. Especially when he thought about how he was still a single dog. He suddenly felt sad and tears flowed out. It could be said that he washed his face with tears. In the end, he simply held the tree with one hand and wiped his nose with the other. He burst into tears. Men don't cry easily. It's just that they've never met a tear gas grenade. Woo woo woo. I'm so fucking sad. System. System, hurry up and think of a way. The system said helplessly, the amount of tear gas inhaled by the host is not much. Crying for 10 minutes should be enough. 10 minutes? Jun Changshao heard this and became even more sad. He squatted under the tree and cried bitterly, "Woo woo woo. I'll just throw the tear gas grenade and leave. Why do I have to foolishly listen for sounds?" Chapter 133. The magically modified tear gas canister didn't release gas, but a strange smoke. The effect was that the person who breathed it would feel sad, making it hard for them to control their emotions and cry. Jun Changshao had many sad memories. For example, he had died in a daze, or he had transmigrated to this unfamiliar falling star continent. The saddest thing was that he was single before transmigrating, and he was still single after transmigrating. The more he thought about it, the sadder he felt. The more he cried, the more his tears gushed out. Seeing that the sect leader was so sad that he couldn't control himself, Xiao Ziji's face broke down. However, he kept looking at the entrance of Drizzle Building's headquarters. Creak. After a while, the mountain gate opened. Huff huff. Billowing white smoke spread out and floated towards the sky. A few birds flew through the smoke and landed on the stone wall. Their small eyes were glistening with tears. When Xiao Ziji saw this through the 8x scope, his eyes widened. Oh my god! Why are the birds crying too? At this moment, an assassin covered his face and walked out of the cave. His tears flowed out and formed a trail on the ground. Xiao Ziji locked onto the target and was about to shoot. However, in the next second, his expression turned dull. The assassins rushed out of the cave one after another. They were crying so hard that they were heartbroken. They were like wives who had suffered a great grievance. "Father, mother, I am unfilial. I couldn't be by your side. Little Red, I miss you. Second uncle, I want to eat oranges." The emotions of the assassins were affected by the tear gas canister. Sad memories flooded their hearts. They cried like ghosts and howled like wolves. Some of them couldn't control their emotions. They felt guilty towards their parents and loved ones. They directly hit their heads against the stone wall. Who didn't have sad memories? However, they usually hid it very well. They would only think about it during sleepless nights. Today, under the control of the tear gas canister, they completely opened their hearts and gave up on pretending to be strong. They just wanted to cry to their heart's content. Hoo hoo hoo, loud cries echoed in the area, suppressing the sound of the waterfall. When Jun Changshao heard the cries, his heart was filled with sadness again. He lay on the ground and cried his heart out. The sect leader was crying at the back, and the killer was crying at the front. Xiao Ziji's expression became very interesting. Finally, he broke down and said, "What the hell is going on?" The amount of smoke coming out of the tear gas was very large, and it quickly covered most of the cave. In a short time, more than 60 killers covered their faces and cried bitterly at the entrance of the cave. The executioners, who were usually cold-blooded and merciless, who killed without blinking, were all squatting down and crying in grief. This scene was really unimaginable. If she wanted to cry, then so be it. Why did she come out? Because they were professional assassins, what they did every day was either assassinating others or on the way to assassinate others. What about now? To be blocked at home by others and be abused to the point that he didn't even dare to come out of his house, he would definitely feel aggrieved and aggrieved. This was a sad thing, so under the stimulation of the tear-inducing smoke, they walked out one by one, their emotions out of control. Damn it! We're standing right here. Come and kill us if you have the ability. Xiao Ziji did not even need the 8x scope to aim. He could just fire a shot into the cave and hit the target. Rumble. At this moment, the door of the cave closed again. It was closed by the killers who had not inhaled too much smoke and were not affected by their emotions. They were still crying loudly against the stone wall inside. Damn it! What's with the crying? Scorpion and Viper walked over and shouted angrily at the remaining dozen or so killers in the cave. The two of them were in a deeper cave, so the tear-inducing smoke did not spread. When the door opened, all the smoke escaped, so they were spared. That iron bone is too evil. In my opinion, we should hurry and ask the building master to come out. Viper said seriously. Sigh. Scorpion sighed and then entered the cave, stopping in front of a secret room sealed by a stone door. After a moment of silence, he mustered up his courage and said, "Building master, something big has happened." 10 minutes passed quickly. Jun Changshao suddenly stopped crying, then jumped up from the ground with a whoosh and said in a low voice, "What's the situation now?" He was still crying bitterly just now, but in the blink of an eye, he stopped crying and changed into a serious face. This change almost made Xiao Ziji faint. "Sect master," he said seriously, "there are 65 killers at the entrance of the cave, all of them squatting there and crying. Get out of the way, I'll kill them." Okay. Xiao Ziji stepped aside, and Jun Changshao lay down. His eyes were red from crying, and he looked at the 8x scope. Soon, he saw the wailing killers. I don't even need to activate the enhancement mode to kill them one by one. He moved the muzzle and put his finger on the trigger. Just as he was about to shoot, the stone door behind him slowly opened. Jun Changshao instinctively looked over and saw a woman dressed in black walk out. Through the magnification, he could see that her figure was very hot, especially her breasts, which were very visually impactful. Boo-hoo! Tower Master! The assassins who were squatting outside cried as they called out with a grin. What the fuck? The Drizzle Building Master was a woman? Jun Changshao raised the 8x scope and looked up, locking onto the face of the woman in black. She had a sharp face, a pair of phoenix eyes, 2 curved willow eyebrows, a tall nose, creamy skin, and red cherry lips. She was extremely beautiful. If Lu Qianqian was a cold and proud snow lotus, then the owner of Drizzle Tower who walked out was a blooming seductive rose. Jun Changshao was speechless. Such a beautiful woman, how could she be the leader of an assassin organization? Just at this moment, the Drizzle Building Master suddenly turned around. Her eyes flashed with coldness, as if she had caught his position. Had he been discovered? Jun Changshao didn't care about it, and he stood up and shouted, "You are the Drizzle Building's master." "That's right," the woman in black replied. Her voice was clear, but it was cold. During her seclusion, more than 20 of her subordinates died. one of the two ace assassins was killed, and the other was hung up. No matter how good her temper was, she could not accept it. Jun Changshao said indifferently, so many of your subordinates died, and you only came out as the boss. You're really incompetent. The Drizzle Building Master said coldly, who are you? Although she had already heard from Viper that the person who ambushed her was most likely related to the Iron Bone, she still had to confirm it. Jun Changshao said, after receiving money from the Spirit Spring Sect, you came to assassinate me. Building Master, aren't you asking the obvious? Me? The Drizzle Building Master raised her eyebrows, saying, you're the leader of the Iron Bone, Jun Changshao. That's right. Jun Changshao said. Scorpion and Viper who came out were stunned. They did not expect that the person who ambushed them was not a disciple of the Iron Bone, but the leader of a sect. The Drizzle Building Master smiled sweetly, saying, Leader Jun personally came out, this little girl is really flattered. Peng, suddenly, a loud sound was heard. Not far from her, the crying assassin's chest was directly pierced, and then he collapsed on the ground. Jun Changshao said, a leader of an assassin organization who kills without blinking an eye, calling yourself a little girl. Even I feel ashamed for you. The Drizzle Building Master's face was covered with frost. But her heart was shocked. After all, the speed of the light that shot over was too fast. If it had attacked her, it would have been very difficult to dodge. This was the Divine Might gun. No wonder, my subordinates would be assassinated by him one after another. Leader Jun, the Drizzle Building Master calmed down, twirling her hair, saying with a smile, offending an assassin organization is not a wise choice. Peng Jun Changshao fired another shot and killed another assassin. He said indifferently, you seem to have misunderstood. This lord is not here to offend you. This lord is here to destroy your Drizzle Building. Chapter 134. Even if the owner of the Drizzle Building was a beautiful and elegant woman, Jun Changshao would not forget his goal. To be exact, when he brought Xiao Ziji over, he had already made up his mind to eliminate him, because he could not give the other party any chance to bite back. Two of her subordinates were killed in front of her, the owner of the Drizzle Building's eyes gradually filled with killing intent, coldly saying, Jun Changshao, you've gone too far. Jun Changshao raised his gun, aiming at this woman's. And, that's right, it was the position of her heart. It was definitely not for the sake of looking, please don't misunderstand. Ding. The host has successfully activated the 8x scope enhancement mode, using 5 contribution points. Ding. Sect contribution points, 170,500. Jun Changshao sneered, sending assassins to assassinate me one after another, I want to ask, who's the one who's gone too far? The scope locked onto his chest, his finger on the trigger. The owner of the Drizzle Building seemed to have smelled danger, a small willow leaf knife slid out from her sleeve, saying, Sect Master Jun, the first 2 times my Drizzle Building sent assassins was on the orders of the employer, the last time was to save my companions, there was no intention to assassinate you. Jun Changshao said indifferently, no matter how many times, no matter what the intention is, as long as you dare to provoke me, there's only one ending, death. Sigh. The owner of the Drizzle Building sighed lightly, her eyes suddenly flashing with coldness. Her jade hands suddenly waved, the small willow leaf knife shot out under the infusion of spiritual power. It was very fast, very sudden. But under the 8x scope, Jun Changshao saw this woman's hand move, immediately pulling the trigger, the muzzle spitting fire, the bullet shot out with a xiao sound. The two of them were more than 300 meters apart, it could be said that they attacked at the same time in less than a second. Xiao, the willow leaf knife wrapped in spiritual power shot out. A leaf that floated past was instantly cut in half. But in terms of speed, the Type 88 bullet was clearly faster. The small willow leaf knife only flew a third of the way before it was shattered with a peng sound. But because it was obstructed, the bullet also died together with it. Swish! Swish! At that moment, the tower master of Drizzle Tower used Ghost Leap and went around the entrance of the cave. She placed her hands on her waist and swung them. Several lancet knives shot out. As expected of the leader of the assassins. Whether it was in terms of movement techniques or the use of hidden weapons, he was far superior to the four ace assassins. Schwa! Jun Changshao turned his arm and didn't aim at all. Instead, he fired several shots and knocked down all the lancet knives. Xiao Ziji was dumbfounded. To be able to turn the gun around and hit the hidden weapon with a direct shot was simply a godly marksmanship. Swoosh! Whoosh! The owner of the Drizzle building rushed over like a swallow. The two curved blades that appeared out of nowhere in his hands instantly flew out, dragging streams of light behind them as they swept over in an arc from the left and right. This woman was really strong. She was so strong that Jun Changshao could not shoot and had to choose to dodge. Otherwise, if he stood still, his head would definitely be cut off. Schwa! He threw the Type 88 sniper rifle behind him and used Ghost Leap. After dodging the two knives, the low-grade cold-edge sword had already appeared in his hands. The sniper rifle's purpose was to be used from a distance. It would only be a burden if the opponent got close to him. Not to mention, he had almost run out of bullets. Right now, he could only fight with the bayonets. Swish! Swish! The two crescent moon flying daggers spun as they returned. The owner of Drizzle Tower rushed over and caught them. She said in shock, "How do you know Ghost Leap?" Schwa! 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 Jun Changshao did not waste his breath on her. He used his ghost-like footwork and rushed over. The 9-style overlapping wave sword had already been used. After gathering 8 waves, he used the 9th style. The sword chi that carried chilling intent shot out. It formed a strong wind that instantly cut down the grass below. The owner of Drizzle Tower focused her gaze and avoided the sword chi. Then, she approached Jun Changshao. The curved blades in her hands flashed with 2 rays of light and slashed towards his neck. She attacked his vital points. As expected of the leader of the assassins. She was so professional. Sha sha sha. Jun Changshao used his ghost step to the extreme and avoided the opponent's attack. He went around to the back and raised his sword to slash down, forming a cold light. Ding! The owner of Drizzle Tower turned around and used her curved blades to block the cold-edge sword. Feeling the cold air rushing towards her, she instantly recognized that the quality of this weapon was not inferior to her fine moon blades. Schwa! Jun Changshao pulled back his sword. He poured his spiritual power into the sword and slashed down fiercely. Ding! 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 The weapons collided one after another and sparks flew everywhere. As long as he could get rid of the opponent, Master Jun had completely forgotten that he was holding a sword and directly used it as a knife to slash. Ka! After 7 or 8 slashes, one of the curved blades was directly cut in half. The owner of Drizzle Tower did not care about her weapon being destroyed. She also did not care about the numbness in her arms. She hurriedly took the opportunity to retreat. However, just as she retreated 2 steps, Jun Changshao's speed was faster than her. The cold-edged sword directly slashed over. Although it did not hit, it still swept the opponent's right shoulder. Thump thump thump. The owner of Drizzle Tower staggered back 2 steps. The clothes on her right shoulder were torn, and her tender white skin was faintly visible. There were also small sword marks. This was still because she retreated quickly. Otherwise, her entire right arm would have been swept off. The owner of Drizzle Tower, who originally thought that she could gain the upper hand in close combat, finally realized that not only did this guy have hidden weapons, his strength was also not bad. Despicable guy. She angrily said, "Just you wait, Schwa." Jun Changshao stepped in front of her with ghostly steps. The cold-edged sword was pressed against her neck. He coldly said, do you think that I will wait for you to leave behind your ruthless words? Shwa. His other hand took out the Desert Eagle and fired a shot behind him. It hit the thigh of Scorpion, who was secretly sneaking over. Ah! Scorpion suddenly fell to the ground. He hugged his right leg and screamed in pain. His face suddenly became sinister. Bang! Jun Changshao fired a second shot. It directly pierced through Scorpion's head, allowing him to go on his way with less pain. Scorpion's death was not in vain. Ironbone and Drizzle Tower's development to this point was all because he took the initiative to accept the Spirit Spring Sect's request. The owner of Drizzle Tower could not bear it. After all, he was her right-hand man. She slightly lowered her head, her starry eyes overflowing with killing intent. However, even if she could not bear it, she still had to bear it. Because after Jun Changshao fired the shot, he directly pressed the Desert Eagle against her temple. He coldly smiled and said, "Don't lower your head. The crown will fall off." His smile was a little scary. Those who did not know would think that he was a devil who killed people without blinking an eye. Boss was being held hostage, and Scorpion was dead. The assassins who were quietly approaching quickly stopped in their tracks. Viper, who came from the right, also hid his darts in his sleeves. He did not think that his sneak attack would succeed. Instead, he would be like Scorpion, killed by the small hidden weapon. The atmosphere quieted down. Xiao Ziji walked over with his Type 88 sniper rifle. From the angle of his position, it was obvious that if an accident happened, he would immediately block the hidden weapon for the sect leader. The owner of Drizzle Tower clutched her injured shoulder. Her face was slightly pale as she bitterly smiled. "I underestimated you." Jun Changxiao's right hand held a sword to her neck. His left hand held a gun to her head. He said very ungentlemanly, "Spirit Spring Sect underestimated me and was destroyed. Drizzle Tower underestimated me and was also destroyed. Of course. If you can throw out all the hidden weapons in your sleeves, I will give up on the idea of stripping you naked." The owner of Drizzle Tower's face slightly changed. Her left hand loosened. More than 10 small willow knives all fell to the ground. So many hidden weapons, how did she hide them? The owner of Drizzle Tower gave up resisting. She gently said, "Sect leader Jun, there is a misunderstanding between us. Why don't we talk calmly? If you can't win, then talk." This was very particular. Talk. Okay. Jun Changshao lightly said, "Take all your subordinates and follow me back to the Iron Bone. We can talk in prison until the mountains have no edges and the heaven and earth are united." Chapter 135. The owner of Drizzle Building wanted to talk calmly because she was being held hostage. If she was stronger than Jun Changshao, she would probably be calling me queen. Speaking of which, how could a 5th grade martial master like her be beaten so badly by an 8th grade martial disciple like him? Because after Jun Changshao threw away the spear, he fused it into the ring and decisively crushed the strength-increasing talisman. His strength instantly increased by 5 times. When the owner of Drizzle Building threw out the lancet knives, she could see that this woman was very strong. If the spear could not deal with her, she could only use other trump cards. After using the strength-increasing talisman, Jun Changxiao's strength instantly increased by 5 times. Originally, he had close to 30,000 gene of strength, but in an instant, it exceeded 100,000 gene. No wonder the owner of Drizzle Building had her weapon broken and her arms were numb from the shock. In terms of movement techniques, he had reached the pinnacle of ghostly leap. In terms of weapons, the low-grade cold-edge sword was better. In terms of strength, it was not inferior at all. All of the above were enough to make up for the difference in realms, and to achieve a hostage. Jun Changshao sealed the woman's chi channels and placed the Desert Eagle on her back. He said indifferently, "Let's go, beauty." Without her cultivation and being held by a spear, the owner of Drizzle Building could only obey. "Oh right. Tell your subordinates to throw away all the hidden weapons in their sleeves and line up with their hands on their heads. The owner of Drizzle Building ordered, do as sect leader June says. Shwa shwa shwa. The assassins threw out all their hidden weapons and lined up with their hands on their heads like war criminals. Just like this, including the wailing assassins and the hanging lynx, everyone from Drizzle Building headed towards the iron bone under Xiao Ziji's escort. Because they took a small path, this group of assassins did not attract any attention and returned to the sect that night. Wang! Wang! The owner of Drizzle Building and dozens of her subordinates passed through the sect protection formation and stood on the training grounds. Seeing so many black-clothed warriors who looked like assassins, Li Qingyang said in shock, Sect Master, they are Drizzle Building's assassins. Jun Changshao said. Xiao Ziji added, Second Martial Brother, all of Drizzle Building's assassins, including their boss. All of them, and boss. The corner of Li Qingyang's mouth twitched violently. Annihilating an assassin organization was not a simple matter. He was always worried that something would happen to the sect leader and his junior brother. Now that he had captured all of them, he realized that he had thought too much. In the canteen, Yi He and Er He, who saw the Drizzle Tower's tower master through the window, were so shocked that their eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. Oh my god! The iron bone of the OP was caught by the sect leader. Er He rubbed his eyes in disbelief. Am I dreaming? Slap. A black hand landed on his face. Does it hurt? It hurts. It's not a dream. It's real. In order to prevent the killers from escaping or causing trouble, Jun Changshao ordered Li Qingyang and Su Xiaoma to seal their meridians and lock them up in prison. The Drizzle Tower's tower master would definitely be given preferential treatment. She was locked up alone in a relatively bright room. The window was sealed with iron bars, and even the door was wrapped with several iron chains. She, who had become a prisoner, thought hatefully, Jun Changshao, if I take the chance to escape, your iron bone will never be at peace. The small hole under the door opened, and a bowl of fried rice was served. In the canteen, sect leader Jun and Xiao Ziji wolfed down the food made by Lu Wanshi, wishing that they could grow 2 more mouths. After hiding in the forest for a few days, the two did not dare to start a fire to roast meat. They could only eat wild fruits to satisfy their hunger. They had almost forgotten what meat tasted like. This incident also made Jun Changshao realize that the next time he went on a long journey, he must prepare the food made by Du Du in his spatial ring. Even if it was a few bowls of fried rice, it would be fine. Seeing the two of them eating like a tornado, Lu Wanshi said with heartache, Sect leader and senior brother have lost a lot of weight. Du Du will definitely feed you until you are white and fat again. After eating and drinking to his heart's content, Jun Changshao patted his belly and sat on the wooden chair in the main hall, shaking his slightly sore arms. Don't look at how satisfying it was to chop with the strength-increasing talisman during the day. After the talisman lost its effect, the soreness caused by the bones in his body was extremely satisfying. The system said, if the host had used it when he just bought it, he would have been carried back by now. This strength-increasing talisman is really not bad. Jun Changshao said, it just so happens that it has been reset. I must buy it in case I need it. Ding! The host has spent 20 contribution points. You have obtained a beginner strength-increasing talisman X1. It has been transferred into the spatial ring. Ding! Sect contribution points, 150500. Sect leader. Li Qingyang walked into the main hall and said, a few registered warriors have come these few days. Because they are unable to enter the sect, I let them stay in Qingyang village first. Let them come over tomorrow. Jun Changshao said. Li Qingyang handed over the account book and said, the construction of the inner courtyard was completed yesterday. It cost a total of 43,000 taels. This is the breakdown of the expenditure. Sect leader, please take a look. Why did Jun Changshao like this second disciple? It was not because of his sexual orientation, but because he was serious and orderly in his work. He had to leave because he had something to do, so he could rest assured leaving the sect to him. The steady Li Qingyang might not have the popularity of main character disciples like Xiao Ziji and Yi Xingchen, but he was definitely the most indispensable backbone to build a stronger sect. Jun Changshao took the account book and put it aside without even looking at it. He said, "Did anything happen in the sect while I was away?" Li Qingyang began to report one by one. For example, the increase in the realm of his junior brothers and sisters, and the growth rate of the new disciples. Long Xiang has broken through to the 11th stage of the meridian opening realm. Jun Changshao said in surprise. Li Qingyang said, "Since junior brother Long joined the sect, he has been cultivating very hard. His realm has also increased very quickly. I think he is a good seedling worth nurturing. Whether he is worth nurturing or not depends on his future performance." Jun Changshao waved his hand and said, "You are dismissed." Li Qingyang retreated, but Lu Qianqian leaned against the door of the main hall. The woman crossed her arms as usual and said indifferently, "Bringing so many mouths is not a small expense." Jun Changshao leaned against the back of the chair and said, "Although our Iron Bones sect is not rich, it is not a problem to take care of some prisoners. That woman is the leader of the assassins. She won't know her place. I advise sect leader to make a prompt decision and kill her." Lu Qianqian said indifferently. Jun Chang said with a smile, "I can't bring myself to kill a captive woman." Clang! Lu Qianqian unsheathed her sword and said indifferently, "If sect leader can't do it, then leave it to me." This woman really drew her sword at the slightest disagreement. Jun Changshao smiled and said, "Are you jealous because I brought a beautiful woman?" Lu Qianqian looked at him, and he looked at Lu Qianqian. The two of them looked at each other. "Just kidding, just kidding." Jun Changshao was defeated and said with a serious face, "I can't kill the drizzle building master for the time being. I still have a use for her." "What use?" Lu Qianqian said. Jun Changshao rubbed his fingers and said, "In this world where information is blocked, real-time information is undoubtedly very important. I want to establish an intelligence agency. Even if it doesn't cover the entire continent, it should at least cover the entire Azure Sun County." Lu Qianqian's gaze was strange. She seemed to be a little surprised that the sect leader would have such a mature idea. Jun Changshao had thought of establishing an intelligence agency when he went up to Spirit Spring Mountain. After all, if there was any movement outside in the future, at least he could quickly know. Lu Qianqian said indifferently, "Sect leader wants that woman and her assassin to collect information?" Jun Changshao said, "An assassin turning into an intelligence agent is the most suitable." Lu Qianqian said indifferently, "Do you think that woman is like Black 1 and Black 2, who can defect from the organization with 2 bowls of fried rice and obey every order?" If Black 1 and Black 2 heard it, they would definitely roar, "Senior sister, we are doing this for Lu Wanshi, for Du, not for those 2 bowls of fried rice." Jun Changshao shrugged and said, "If I can't even deal with a woman, how can I still have the face to be the sect leader? I'll just give the position to you." "I think, okay," Lu Qianqian said. Jun Changshao got up and walked down. He walked around her with his hands behind his back and said, Lu Qianqian, I think you have a bad intention." Lu Qianqian said, "It was the sect leader himself who said it." Jun Changshao stopped, leaned sideways and whispered, "You can't be the sect leader. You can't be the sect leader in this life, but it's more like being the sect leader's wife." She seemed to realize that she was courting death by saying this. When she said the words sect leader's wife, she had already rushed out of the hall. "Sect leader!" Su Xiaoma exclaimed, "Be careful." Jun Changshao, who rushed out of the hall happily, instinctively looked back and heard a bang sound as a happy football kicked his face. He stopped abruptly and fell to the ground with a loud bang. "Su Xiaoma, you tricked the sect leader. If I didn't shout be careful, I would have turned my head and used my face to catch the ball." Li Fei. Is your fucking spiritual foot staring at my incomparably handsome face every single day? Serves you right. Lu Qianqian coldly threw down these two words and left. Her calm state of mind had a slight fluctuation because of Jun Changxiao's words just now. AI. When can I comprehend the third level of Taishian ice heart technique and achieve a true heart like still water? Chapter 136. Lu Qianqian, as a direct disciple, you did not abide by the sect rules and repeatedly committed unforgivable crimes. From today onwards, your martial arts will be crippled and you will be expelled from the sect. Do you have any complaints? A deep voice sounded in the solemn hall. Lu Qianqian, who was kneeling in the hall, lowered her head and said coldly, I have no complaints. Men, take her to the torture chamber for punishment. Under the eyes of the disciples, she was brought to the torture chamber. TSK, I didn't expect Lu Qianqian to do such a thing. Grand Elder always favored her when he was alive. Now that something has happened, no one will dare to protect her. She's always so cold, as if everyone owes her money. If not for Grand Elder, how could she become a direct disciple? On the stairs of the magnificent sect gate, Lu Qianqian, whose black hair was disheveled and whose face was pale, walked down step by step. Sister Qianqian. A woman with extraordinary looks stood at the gate and waved. She smiled and said, since you've been expelled from the sect, the celestial ice heart palace will be mine. Lu Qianqian said indifferently, only after I leave will you be qualified to inherit it. A trace of anger flashed through the woman's eyes, but she opened her long sleeves and said with a smile, I knew this day would come sooner or later, so I prepared a festive red dress to celebrate. Sister Qianqian, do you think it looks good? Lu Qianqian said, no matter how beautiful the dress is, it can't hide your dirty heart. The woman withdrew her smile and said coldly, you're as pure as ice, as pure as jade, as pure as snow, but so what? You've still been crippled of your martial arts, expelled from the sect, and become a pitiful stray dog. Lu Qianqian said indifferently, I have a holy spiritual root, but you don't. I have the Taishian ice heart physique, but you don't. Even if you're expelled, you'll always be trash in front of me. You. The woman was so angry that her face turned red. Lu Qianqian took a deep breath and looked at the sky. She murmured, the outside world is very big. If this place doesn't want me, Lu Qianqian, there will definitely be people who want me somewhere else. Without the sect's heart sutra, your Taishian ice heart physique is nothing but a waste. Do you still expect others to take you in? The woman sneered. Lu Qianqian stopped talking and dragged her body down the stairs. That day, heavy snow arrived, freezing the rivers and mountains for thousands of miles, causing the season before winter to become abnormally cold. When the villagers, who believed in ghosts and gods, saw that the weather was abnormal, they called it the ice god descending to the mortal world. Who? Inside the side room, Lu Qianqian collected her thoughts and walked to the window. Looking at the starry sky, she thought, Tai Zhanglao, you must have anticipated that I would be expelled, so you privately passed on the Taishian ice heart formula to me. In the main hall outside, Jun Changxiao, who had been cultivating in the molding room, had just sat down. From his angle, he saw that the woman was still awake. He shook his head and said, my eldest disciple, when will you change your ice-cold temperament? I'm an expert, an expert, an expert. I'm invincible in the world. Fill me with wine. Tonight, I won't stop until I'm drunk. In the early morning, music sounded on the martial arts field. The disciples were doing their daily morning exercises. The flamboyant Jun Changxiao stood at the front and led the dance. Long Xiang, Li Yuhua, and the others seemed to have gotten used to it. They threw away their shame and completely immersed themselves in the happy atmosphere. After the morning exercises, Jun Changxiao snapped his fingers and said, Qingyang, have you called the people who signed up? Sect leader, they're here, Li Qingyang said. Jun Changxiao waved his black hair and shouted, Su Xiaoma, open the door for me. Swish. Swish. Su Xiaoma somersaulted and stopped in front of the red lacquered door. Then, he waved his arms and the two doors opened. A cool breeze blew in. Whoosh, paw. Jun Changshao caught the ball flying from the side and kicked it out. It hit Li Fei's face directly. He also hit the wall behind him, making a dent. Brat. Jun Changshao clapped his hands and adjusted his collar. He walked and said, "If I don't kick your face until it blossoms, you won't know why the flowers are so red." As he spoke, he walked out of the sect. Su Xiaoma stood at attention and gave a thumbs up. "Sect leader, you're awesome." Outside the mountain gate, several martial artists of different ages were standing there, waiting anxiously. When they saw Jun Changshao walking out, they hurriedly swarmed over. "Sect leader Jun, my name is Li Tiansheng. I want to go to the heavens. Please give me a pair of wings." A weak-looking young man shouted first. Jun Changshao sat in front of the registration table and touched his chin. "With your physique, you don't need wings. A gust of wind will blow you into the sky." "Ha ha ha." The registration disciple laughed. Even the steady Li Qingyang, who was standing behind the sect master, couldn't help but laugh. "What are you laughing at?" The young man called Li Tiansheng stared at everyone and said seriously, "Sect leader Jun, I want to join the Iron Bonjing sect to create a dream." Jun Changshao made a gesture and said, "Please tell me your dream." Li Tiansheng said, "My dream since I was young is to become an indomitable ranker." His dream since he was young was not to sing. What was the difference between him and a salted fish? Jun Changshao felt that this kid was a bit naughty, but he was also smart. After asking the basic information, he stamped the sect leader's seal and said, "Next." The second person to register was a young girl. She was dressed plainly and should be from a poor family. Although her face was a bit dirty, it couldn't hide her delicate and pretty aura. She lowered her head and said shyly, My name is Ling Yuanxue." Was she so shy? Jun Changshao said, "What is your dream?" Ling Yuanxue lowered her head. After a while, she gathered her courage and said, "They say that women are not as good as men. I want to practice martial arts and prove it to you stinky men." No. I'm not saying that the sect leader is a stinky man. Jun Changshao didn't mind. He took the entry form and said, "In a world where men are superior, women's status has never been high. You have a dream. I will provide you with a stage to realize your dream." "Pa," he stamped the entry form. Li Qingyang's mouth twitched. He said in a low voice, "Sect leader, you just filled in a name. Isn't this too sloppy?" Jun Changshao said in a low voice, "The sect is full of men. The yang energy is too strong. If we don't add some female disciples, I'm afraid it will develop into a gay sect." "Gay sect?" Li Qingyang was confused. Next, the third applicant stepped forward. It was a 13 or 14-year-old boy. He scratched his head and said, "Sect leader Jun, does Iron Bone lack a pharmacist?" Note, a pharmacist is different from a herbalist. It is similar to a doctor. Jun Changshao smelled medicine and asked curiously, "Are you a pharmacist?" "Yes." The boy took out a wooden card and put it on the table. He said, "This is my identification." Jun Changshao looked and saw that it said descendant of the Medicine Emperor, Sun Bukong. Medicine Emperor? Jun Changshao opened his mouth. In his opinion, those who could be called emperor were definitely the strongest in a continent. How could they meet a descendant of the Medicine Emperor just by accepting disciples? Sun Bukong scratched his head and said with a smile, "Master asked me to go down the mountain to gain experience, so I decided to experience it at Iron Bone first." The corner of Jun Changshao's mouth twitched as he said, "Little guy, you should go to the flower city next door. That place is filled with the descendants of powerful people. If you mix well, you'll definitely be able to hook up with an Ice Queen CEO. Flower City. Sun Bukong said blankly, "I'm sorry, I've never heard of this place. Jun Changshao took the entry form and was about to ask. Li Qingyang whispered, Sect Master, you can buy dozens of these wooden cards in town for 1 tael of silver. Not to mention the descendant of the Medicine Emperor, even the son of the Medicine Emperor can carve one. Huh? Jun Changxiao's eyes widened. Damn, an identity from another world can be faked? Sun Bukong heard Li Qingyang's words and scratched his head awkwardly. Then, he put more than 10 wooden cards on the table and said seriously, Sect Master, I carved these myself. You can choose whichever identity you like, as long as I can join the sect. Descendant of the Sword Emperor, Sun Bukong. Descendant of the Demon Sovereign, Sun Bukong. Descendant of the Demon Sovereign, Sun Bukong. There were also many successors of different statuses, and none of them were the same. Awesome! If these identities are real, my little iron bone can't accommodate such a big Buddha. Take them. Jun Changshao stamped. Although the identity of the descendant was fake, to be able to think of signing up, this person was a talented person with dreams. Next. Slap. As soon as he said that, a person put something wrapped in black cloth on the table, revealing a simple sword hilt. He said, Sword Cultivator, Zhou Hong. Chapter 137. Swordsman, Zhou Hong. The voice of the man who spoke was a little hoarse. Jun Changshao looked up. It was a young man with sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes. He was about 23 or 24 years old, but his face was full of vicissitudes, which obviously did not match his age. His black robe was stained with dust. He was a little bit of a wanderer, a little bit of an expert. Ma Yongning also had this kind of vicissitudes. Swordsman, swordsman. They all had this kind of standard appearance. Because they had been in Jianghu for a long time, they had cultivated the heroic spirit of holding their swords and laughing to the heavens, leaving their guts and hearts behind. Think about it. The bright moon hung high in the sky. At the top of the Iron Bone Hall. Ma Yongning, the swordsman on the left, stood with his sword. Zhou Hong, the swordsman on the right, stood with his sword. The conversation between the two was as follows, You're here. Yes, I'm here. You shouldn't have come. But, I'm already here. Why did you come? I don't know why, but I still came. Draw your sword. Draw your sword. Sword, knife, stone, cloth. This kind of philosophical and thought-provoking conversation could only be expressed by a true swordsman. Zhou Hong's eyes flashed with a sharp light, making Jun Changshao feel as if he was saying to himself, I'm here again. Since you're here, then I'll accept you. Jun Changshao just filled in the name on the entry form and stamped it. Simple and neat, without any ink. This was the greatest respect for a swordsman. Grumble. Zhou Hong's stomach made a sound, and he collapsed on the registration table, saying weakly, Hungry, is this a damn expert? Jun Changshao covered his head and broke down. Qingyang, carry him to the cafeteria. Yes. Li Qingyang walked over. He lifted Zhou Hong with one hand and was about to take his sword with the other. But just as he was about to touch it, Zhou Hong suddenly had the strength to grab the sword and said seriously, Swordsman, the sword never leaves your body. Li Qingyang shook his head and dragged him into the sect. The registration continued. The fifth applicant was 17 years old. He looked ordinary and did not have any special skills, but his name was Sima Zhongda. Jun Changshao complained, You must have an opponent called Zhuge Kongming. Zhuge Kongming? Sima Zhongda was at a loss. Yes. Jun Changshao asked a few questions before stamping the seal. In his opinion, as long as it was a compound surname like Ouyang, Murong, Dongfang, and Lanxiang, it would be a proper family. What was sect leader Jun's criteria for accepting disciples? Spirit roots and cultivation base could stand to the side. As long as I could confirm with my eyes that you were the person I wanted, I would take you under my wing. The system retorted, isn't it because there aren't enough disciples that the host has no choice? Jun Changshao couldn't be bothered with him and said, next. There was no movement. When he looked up, he realized that there was no one left. There were only 5 people who had come to register. Hoo. A cool breeze blew over, and the mountain gate was filled with a desolate aura. AI. Jun Changshao sighed. He carried a chair and walked into the sect. His back seemed to have experienced the vicissitudes of life, like an old man past his prime. After the new disciples joined, the number of members increased from 148 to 153, and they received 5 contribution points. Li Qingyang brought them to collect their uniforms and distribute the sect rules and the like. Jun Changshao cultivated in the molding room for 2 hours. He came to the cell where the owner of Drizzle building was locked up, and opened the chains. Are you satisfied with your stay? After walking in, he gave the woman a gentlemanly smile. The owner of Drizzle building said, Sect leader Jun, we agreed to talk. Isn't it a bit inappropriate to lock me up? Jun Changshao leaned against the door, and said with his hands folded, if you promise me one thing, you will immediately be treated as an esteemed guest of Iron Bone Mountain. The owner of Drizzle building brushed her black hair, and said with a smile, it definitely won't be anything good. This woman was in her early 20s. She was beautiful and had a good figure. Even if she didn't do it, she would give off a seductive aura. If my eldest disciple was like her. Jun Changshao hurriedly stopped his thoughts, and said to himself, that would be too scary. Jun Changshao said, Miss, what's your name? Li Luoqiu. The owner of Drizzle building said. Jun Changshao said, good name. Li Luoqiu said with a smile, Sect leader Jun, this isn't what you're talking about, right? Of course not. Jun Changshao said, Owner Li, are you interested in bringing your subordinates to join my Iron Bone Mountain? He. Li Luoqiu covered her mouth and laughed, her laughter was very beautiful. Jun Changshao said, is it very funny? Li Luoqiu stopped laughing, and said, Sect leader Jun, Li Luoqiu, am an assassin, I will not join your so-called sect. Why? Jun Changshao said. Li Luoqiu said, a bird that is used to being free, would it like to be locked in a cage? Jun Changshao shook his head and said, an assassin that is accompanied by darkness, and usually does not dare to show her face, is this freedom? Li Luoqiu said indifferently, if you want to recruit me, don't waste your breath. Jun Changshao naturally would not give up, and said, Miss Li, I was able to destroy the Spirit Spring Sect, and am not afraid of the Sacred Spring Sect. I also invited all the people of your building here. You should be clear about my strength, right? After a moment of silence, Li Luoqiu said, Sect leader Jun is not simple. Last night she had thought, how could a sect that was unknown in the Jianghu suddenly become so powerful? And this guy. When the 100 sects recruited him, he was at the 5th or 6th level of the channel opening stage. In just a few months, he became a high-ranked martial disciple and defeated her. This was really inconceivable. Jun Changshao said, my Iron Bone is just at the beginning stage, and we lack capable people. If Miss Li and your subordinates join, one day we will become the strongest sect in the continent, and you will be the founding elder of the sect. Li Luoqiu's almond eyes widened. If he said something like, dominating the Azure Sun County, she might have believed it. Dominating the continent? The strongest sect. Then there were only 2 possibilities, 1, he was joking, 2, there was something wrong with his head. Jun Changshao was not joking, his head was very normal. He said seriously, if Miss Li is willing to assist me, then you will be the Drizzle Hall's hall master. Li Luoqiu said jokingly, does Iron Bone still have a hall master position? There wasn't, but there is now. Jun Changshao said, if Miss Li joins, then you will be Iron Bone's first hall master, and this will be recorded in the history books for the world to worship. Li Luoqiu, swoosh. Jun Changshao took out the Desert Eagle, twirled it in his fingers, and said, "If you become Iron Bone's Hall Master, Miss Li can use this god-powered blunderbuss as you wish." "Of course." Jun Changshao said, "There are also various martial arts resources, not only can Miss Li use them, but also your subordinates can use them." "Are you done?" Li Luoqiu asked. Jun Changshao said seriously, "Miss Li, today is the first time I sincerely invite you, and also the last time. Please consider it seriously, because this opportunity will not come again." Li Luoqiu covered her mouth and laughed. "You say it as if I will regret it for the rest of my life if I don't agree." Jun Changshao said, "I will give you 3 days to consider." With that, he turned to leave. Li Luoqiu shouted, "Stop." Jun Changshao stopped and said, "Miss Li, have you thought it through?" Li Luoqiu crossed her arms and said with interest, "If I become your Iron Bone's Hall Master, will I have any special privileges?" Jun Changshao said, "You and your subordinates have no restrictions, you can go out as you wish." Yes, the intelligence department would definitely have to go out, but it would be useless to sit in the sect and drink tea and read newspapers. Li Luoqiu smiled and said, "Sect Master Jun is so sincere in inviting me, could it be that the sect just happens to be lacking a hall master?" "Of course not." Jun Changshao said, "I will provide Miss Li with all the martial arts resources, so you naturally have to show the corresponding value." "Help you kill people?" Li Luoqiu asked. Jun Changshao said, "Dirty work like killing people will be done by the male disciples. Miss Li's duty is to help me gather information." "Just gathering information?" Li Luoqiu asked in surprise. Jun Changshao said, "Do you still want to do something else?" Li Luoqiu rubbed her chin and said, "Give me some time to think about it. I will come again in 3 days, I hope, Miss Li." Before he could finish, he was interrupted by her. "I have already thought about it, I am willing to accept your recruitment and become Iron Bone's Hall Master." Jun Changshao's mouth twitched. This woman's thinking speed was really fast. Chapter 138. Li Luoqiu had compromised in many ways. For example, she was now imprisoned. If she didn't agree, she definitely wouldn't be able to leave. She was like a bird in a cage. For example, after a night of thinking, Iron Bone and Jun Changshao could suddenly become strong. It was strange, but also had a lot of potential. For example, since the other party gave her the position of Hall Master and didn't restrict her freedom, it seemed pretty good. More importantly, the god-powered blaster. As a professional assassin, Li Luoqiu was good at using all kinds of hidden weapons. She also liked using hidden weapons. This kind of powerful hidden weapon that shot out streams of light was definitely tempting. "Miss Li," Jun Changshao said, "after all, we had a fierce battle of life and death yesterday. Although this seat hopes that you can become a member of Iron Bone, this seat is still a bit worried." "Worried that I will kill you?" Li Luoqiu smiled. Jun Changshao shrugged. "This seat doesn't think that you have the ability." Li Luoqiu said, "Then what are you worried about?" "This seat is worried that your subordinates will be restless. If they cause trouble in the sect, wouldn't it be a bit awkward?" "Sect Master Jun, the rule of an assassin is to obey orders. If I tell them to sit, no one dares to stand. I'm still worried." Jun Changshao put down a small medicine bottle and said, "This is a kind of poison that will come back every 3 months. Miss Li can take it first." "What do you mean?" Li Luoqiu's face turned cold. Jun Changshao said, "I want to observe you. The antidote will be given every 3 months. After a year, when the observation period ends, if your performance is good, I will remove the poison in your body." "Sect Master Jun is so cautious," Li Luoqiu said. Jun Changshao shrugged his shoulders and said, "In this dangerous world, how can one survive without being cautious? No wonder you can become a sect master at such a young age." Li Luoqiu walked over and picked up the medicine bottle. "After I take it, can you give me the god-powered blaster?" "Sure, Jun Changshao said. Li Luoqiu opened the cork and drank the venom inside. It tasted a little bitter and spicy, but she didn't feel anything else. Give it to me. Shua. Jun Changshao tossed the desert eagle over. After Li Luoqiu took it, she suddenly pressed the muzzle of the gun against his forehead. Her slender jade-like finger rested on the trigger as she asked with a smile, Sect leader Jun, is this how you use it? Jun Changshao said, if you want to learn, I can teach you. Shua. Li Luoqiu retracted her hand, the desert eagle twirling between her fingers. This woman really knows how to play. Jun Changshao said, tomorrow, I will publicly announce the establishment of the Drizzle Hall. I hope that you can prepare your subordinates well today. Li Luoqiu played with the desert eagle and said, just say the word. Jun Changshao didn't say anything else. He turned around and left. He didn't lock the door, because there was no need to. Li Luoqiu began to carefully examine the desert eagle, then tried to pull the trigger. However, there was only a ka-ka sound, and no light shot out. Jun Changshao's voice sounded, without me teaching you, you won't be able to use it. I don't believe it. Li Luoqiu's temper flared. She began to fumble with the desert eagle that wasn't loaded at all. Where did the host get the poison? The system couldn't help but ask. Jun Changshao said, I found the gutter oil from the garbage bucket, mixed it with chili and garlic. The system said, that's ruthless. The next day. After the morning exercises, Jun Changshao publicly announced that the sect would establish the Drizzle Hall from today onwards. The hall master would be Li Luoqiu. The disciples definitely didn't have any objections to this matter. Yi He and He were a little dizzy. The hall master who had just been locked in was convinced so quickly. Her willpower was worse than theirs. How could 2 bowls of fried rice compare to a desert eagle? Not only did Jun Changshao grant Li Luoqiu the position of hall master, he also renovated a relatively spacious room in the outer courtyard and hung a plaque for the Drizzle Hall. At this point, Iron Bone had its first hall, the Drizzle Hall. Li Luoqiu did what she said. With just one sentence, the assassins had no objections. They were willing to follow the boss and become members of the Drizzle Hall. Even Mountain Cat, who had one of his hands shot off, was willing. The main reason why he was so straightforward was because he was trapped in Iron Bone. Even the boss had compromised, wouldn't he be courting death if he remained unyielding? Speaking of which, since the Drizzle Hall was established, why didn't Jun Changshao give the position of elder? There were no suitable candidates. Although Li Luoqiu was strong and had management skills, she was still an assassin. Li Qingyang and the others' cultivation levels weren't high either. They were still very young, so they didn't look like they could become elders. After the hall was established, the next step was to handle the entry procedures for them. Ding! Ding! As the assassins' entry forms were stamped with the sect master's seal, the sound of members and contribution points increasing rang in Jun Changshao's ears one after another. After a final count, including Li Luoqiu, there were a total of 77 people. The system data panel was Sect Member 230500. Sect Contribution Points 225500. Jun Changshao thought to himself, as long as the number of people is full, the contribution points will be almost full. By then, I can squander them to my heart's content. Sect Master, are you looking for me? Li Luoqiu walked into the main hall and removed the word Jun in front. It could be seen that when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Jun Changshao said, how many times did you send people to assassinate me? Well, Li Luoqiu said, I was in seclusion at that time. The mission of sending people to assassinate you was handled by Scorpion. Where's Scorpion? Call him over. Jun Changshao said. Li Luoqiu said, he was killed by you. Jun Changshao said, the other 2 ace assassins should know. Viper knows. When the mission is issued, he will participate in the arrangement. Li Luoqiu called Viper over. After the latter thought for a while, he said, Sect Master, Scorpion has issued 3 missions. When, how many people? Viper reported the time and number of people. The first time, there were 3 people, before the Sect's martial arts competition. The second time, there was 1 person, after the martial arts competition. The third time, there were 3 people, killed by the self-aiming Type 88 sniper rifle. That's all. That's all. Jun Changshao suddenly frowned. Not counting the group of assassins outside Liang City, there were 5 times in the sect alone. The last 2 times, one of the assassins was killed by Xiao Ziji from the fort. The last 5 assassins were pierced through the chest by him, and the last one was spanked by him. If Viper did not say anything wrong, the last 2 assassins were definitely not from Drizzle Building. That's right, that's right. The last 2 groups of assassins did not have the ghostly step secret manual in their interspatial rings. They were definitely not from Drizzle Building. Thinking about the group of assassins outside Liang City who were also poor, Jun Changshao guessed that they might be from the same group. If they were from the same group, then it would be fine. If they were not from the same group, then it meant that there were 3 groups of assassins. Although he had subdued Li Luoqiu and her subordinates, he could not rule out the possibility of being assassinated again. Jun Changshao rubbed his temples and said, Hall Master Li, do you know if there are any assassin groups in Azure Sun County? If he did not find the 2 groups of assassins, Sect Master Jun would not be able to eat or sleep in peace. Li Luoqiu said, as far as I know, there are no assassin groups in Azure Sun County. However, she paused and said, the big clans in the big cities will secretly train assassins or death warriors. Some of the higher-ups of the clans have even spent a lot of money to buy the methods of training assassins from Drizzle Building. Which clans? Jun Changshao asked. Li Luoqiu said, for example, Zhengyang City's He clan, Qingyang City's Wang clan, Liyang City's Bei clan and Xiao clan, Shouyang City's, wait. Jun Changshao interrupted, you just said, Liang City's Xiao clan. That's right. Li Luoqiu said, the Xiao clan's great elder personally bought it. He thought that no one would be able to recognize him, but he did not know that I saw through him the moment he came in. Chapter 139. After learning from Li Luoqiu that the Xiao family also had assassins, Jun Changshao bit his thumb and fell into deep thought. When Liang City was attacked by assassins, his previous judgment was that the Bei family and the Xiao family were involved. Later, when he saw the Bei family's token, he temporarily excluded the Xiao family. Why? Because Jun Changshao felt that this kind of obvious exposure of the Bei family's identity would easily make people think that it was a frame-up. At that time, during the sect competition, the behavior of the Xiao family's higher-ups and direct descendants, anyone with a normal brain would definitely guess that they were the ones who framed them. Jun Changshao excluded the Xiao family to avoid being deliberately used by people with ulterior motives. But now that he knew that there were assassins in the Xiao family, he had to think carefully. Let's assume that the assassins were sent by the Xiao family. In order to clear their suspicion, they deliberately carried the Bei family's token and created the illusion that someone was framing them? Damn it! If that was the case, it was definitely a psychological war. Or is it that the ambush was done by someone else and they deliberately framed the Bei and Xiao families? Jun Changxiao's mind was in a bit of a mess. Phew. He took a deep breath and said, Hall Master Li, I'll give you your first mission now. Li Luoqiu listened. Jun Changxiao thought for a while and said, send someone to Liang City to monitor the Bei and Xiao family's movements, especially the Xiao family's great elder. He did not care whether it was a psychological war or not. If it was really them, they would definitely be exposed. Only watching people and not killing people? Li Luoqiu asked. Yes. Understood. Killing people was troublesome, but watching people was easy. Li Luoqiu handed the matter over to Viper. The latter hurriedly returned to the Drizzle Hall, selected a few gold medal assassins who were good at hiding, and then left the sect for Liang City. the role of the Drizzle Hall had already been shown. Sect Master. Li Luoqiu smiled and said, "Do you have time to teach me how to use the spear?" Back Mountain. Jun Changxiao's left and right hands moved in slow motion as he poured the spiritual energy from the crystal core into the notch of the desert eagle he had just bought. Then, he loaded the gun and removed the baffle from the hammer. "Did you see it clearly?" "Yes," Li Luoqiu said. She took out the desert eagle and followed the sect master's instructions. She loaded the gun and removed all the safety mechanisms. Boom! He pulled the trigger, and a stream of light flew out. It accurately hit a fruit on a tree dozens of meters away. Li Luoqiu, a 5th grade martial master, could withstand the recoil, so his arm was not injured at all. Sect leader Jun was dumbfounded. "Fire again for me to see." Boom! Li Luoqiu knocked the fruit hanging on the branch next to her. "Amazing, amazing!" Jun Changxiao exclaimed. He wasn't praising Li Luoqiu's marksmanship, but the vibration caused by the woman's shot had caused her chest to bounce. "Fire again, let me see." Boom! Boom! Li Luoqiu fired 2 shots in succession, and her body shook. Sure enough, a woman with good stuff has such a strong impact when firing a shot. Li Luoqiu withdrew her gun and found that the sect leader's eyes were looking at something wrong. She frowned. "Where are you looking?" "Ah." Jun Changxiao hurriedly raised his head and sighed. "The sky is very blue, and very big." Li Luoqiu said, "Earlier outside the headquarters, the sect leader used another type of god-powered handgun. Can I try it?" "Yes." Jun Changxiao called Xiao Ziji over and threw the Type 88 sniper rifle to her. Then, he taught her how to adjust the crosshairs of the 8x scope and how to shoot after crouching down. "Understood." Li Luoqiu said. Whoosh! Whoosh! Jun Changxiao and Xiao Ziji both retreated far away. "Sect leader, are we not letting her wear shoulder pads?" Hall Master Li is a 5th grade martial master. She can definitely withstand the recoil. That makes sense. The two looked at each other and were stunned in the next second. Because Li Luoqiu did not crouch down according to the previous instructions. Instead, she directly raised her head and looked at the 8x scope with one eye. Obviously, she was going to shoot while standing. A slender woman holding a Type 88 sniper rifle in the middle of the grass. The scene was quite beautiful. Hall Master Li, don't, bang. Bang. Li Luoqiu fired 2 shots in a row. The bullets burst out and shattered the rocks a few hundred meters away. The recoil shook her body up and sent her flying backward. Whoosh! Jun Changxiao came to the falling position and opened his arms to catch her. His heart collapsed. This woman didn't have enough fun after shooting once. She shot twice. Plop! Li Luoqiu fell to the ground with her spear in the shape of a swastika. Jun Changxiao's mouth twitched. Hall Master Li, I'm sorry. I misjudged and missed half a step. I didn't catch you. Li Luoqiu felt that it was indecent to shoot while crouching down, so she stood and fired 2 shots. It was decent, but the price was that her shoulders and arms were numb from the recoil for an entire night. The next day, the disciples did morning exercises and cultivated as usual. The 5 disciples who had just entered the sect also began to either become stronger or lead a miserable life in the sect. The most tragic one was Li Fei. He was kicked to the sky by Li Fei's happy football. Sun Bukong and Sima Zhongda squatted in the distance. They looked at the guy who entered with them lying on the training field with his limbs spread out. They were so scared that they trembled. The only female among the 5 new disciples, Ling Yuanxue, was the happiest. Because the senior sisters were very enthusiastic and chatted with her, her originally shy personality gradually relaxed. Qingyang. Jun Changxiao stood outside the main hall and glanced at the disciples one by one. Where's Zhou Hong? Li Qingyang said, Sect Master, this junior brother is a bit strange. After entering the sect, he has been motionless in the inner courtyard training field. He didn't even answer when I spoke to him. Is that so? Jun Changshao went to the inner courtyard. On the small training field, Zhou Hong, who had not changed out of his school uniform, stood proudly. He held a sword in one hand and put the other on the hilt. His head was slightly lowered, and his black hair spread out. This was a standard sword move. Because he was motionless, he was like a stone statue. Li Qingyang whispered, "Sect Master, he has been standing since dinner yesterday. He has been standing for the whole night." Jun Changshao held his chin and said, "This person is indeed a bit strange." Clang! Suddenly, Zhou Hong's sword was unsheathed. Rays of sword light appeared around him and intertwined, instantly forming an inescapable net. Damn! Jun Changshao and Li Qingyang widened their eyes. Clang! The sword was sheathed, and the sword energy dissipated. The sword was drawn and sheathed. It was really fast. Jun Changshao and Li Qingyang only heard the sound of the sword being drawn and sheathed. They did not see the sword being drawn and sheathed at all. What was even more ridiculous was that the leaves that were originally floating around Zhou Hong were not cut by the sword light. They finally fell slowly on the stone floor. So fast, so much sword energy spread out, but it did not cut through the leaves that fell. He was definitely a master of body tracing. Whoosh whoosh. At this moment, a gust of wind blew. The leaves under Zhou Hong's feet were blown up. Then, in the process of flying away, they disintegrated into strips and stuck to Jun Changshao and Li Qingyang's faces. This was not body tracing. This was because the fallen leaves were swept by the sword energy, but because the sword energy was too fast, there was no time to cut through them. Pushing aside the leaves that were blocking their eyes, Jun Changshao and Li Qingyang exclaimed in unison, "Expert, expert, expert." Yi Xingqian also witnessed the scene of Zhou Hong unsheathing and sheathing his sword in the distant wing of the disciples. He murmured, "To strike 23 times in one breath, this child must have comprehended the fast realm of the sword doctrine. He is a rare seedling of the sword doctrine. What a pity." He shook his head and said, "Although the iron bone has miraculous physical body and fist techniques, as well as spiritual martial arts, there are no high-quality sword techniques. Cultivating here is equivalent to wasting one's life." Chapter 140. Jun Changshao was right. Zhou Hong, whose face was full of vicissitudes of life, was indeed an expert. Not to mention his cultivation level, just the way he attacked and retracted his sword, and the way he destroyed the leaves in mid-air, was enough to prove it. He was strong in sword Dao. When the authoritative Yi Xingqian saw Zhou Hong's attack, his evaluation was if he had the guidance of a sword Dao master and good sword skills, he would become at least a sword king in the future. Martial arts and sword Dao were different, so were the levels. Martial arts included martial disciple, wuzong, martial emperor, and so on. Sword Dao included sword disciple, sword master, sword emperor, and so on. Although there was only a difference of one word, sword cultivators were stronger than martial cultivators of the same level. For a true sword cultivator to comprehend the sword Dao without any distractions was definitely an extreme of extremes. Martial cultivators were different. They could cultivate fist techniques and swords, so they were far inferior to a real sword cultivator who focused on cultivation. Not everyone could go to the extreme and become a sword cultivator. It required an extremely high aptitude in sword Dao. According to the relevant departments, only 1 in 10,000 people could become a sword cultivator. Even if a martial cultivator only had a low-grade spirit root, 1 meridian would be considered a martial artist. Sword cultivators were 1 in 10,000, so it was a very rare profession. Take Yi Xingqian for example. Although he also cultivated sword skills in his previous life, he became one of the 10 great martial emperors in the end. The other 9 people, without exception, had also attained their Dao through martial arts. A sword emperor who cultivated sword skills had not appeared in the Starfall continent for a long time. Another rare one was the saber emperor who cultivated saber skills, because it was also the extreme of the extremes. Damn it. Finally, I've recruited a good disciple. Jun Changshao hurriedly took out the dazzling light sunglasses and looked at Zhou Hong, activating all the spying functions. Cultivation. Aptitude. Strength. Damn it. Why are they all question marks? Is this guy so strong that he can't be analyzed by data? The system explained, the dazzling light sunglasses can only be used to spy on martial cultivators, not sword cultivators, so it can't be analyzed. I see. Jun Changshao understood. Li Qingyang said, Sect leader, Junior Zhou is a sword cultivator. He should be comprehending sword Dao now. We shouldn't disturb him. Yes. Jun Changshao took him away. After learning about sword cultivation from the disciples along the way, he couldn't help but secretly say, if I had a high level of sword cultivation aptitude, wouldn't it be easy to cultivate the Lingshan sword's secret art? The system said, the sword path aptitude modifying elixir can be bought from the system store. You can even spawn something like that? Jun Changshao exclaimed. The system said, as long as you have enough contribution points, and as long as you are lucky, any item that can make the host stronger can be obtained. I need to earn even more contribution points, Lord Changshao thought to himself. Zhou Hong was a sword cultivator. His cultivation method was different from that of martial cultivators. Jun Changshao did not force him to cultivate with the other disciples. Instead, he left him alone in the inner yard to comprehend the sword. That was it. Other than going to eat when he was hungry, Zhou Hong stood alone in the training field for 2 consecutive days, patiently comprehending and waving his sword. Jun Changshao would occasionally look from afar and understood why the creator of the Ling Jian divine art was called the Solitary Sword Emperor. One man, one sword. If he continued to cultivate like this, even if he became a sword emperor, he would definitely be lonely. Wait until he truly integrates with the iron bone and treats himself as a disciple, then I can teach him the Lingshan sword's secret art. Jun Changshao thought. Zhou Hong was a loner when it came to sword cultivation, but he was not a loner. When he met the sect leader in the cafeteria, he would take the initiative to bow. He could also get along well with his fellow sect members. It was just that he did not speak much. He liked to sit alone in a corner and eat. He especially cherished every meal and every grain of rice. No one could resist the temptation of Lu Wanchu's food. Even the assassin leader Li Luoqiu was convinced. When it was time to eat, he would come to the cafeteria on time. The hall master's table was independent. Jun Changshao sat at the side with the food in his hands. He took a bite of green onion and said, "How are the arrangements?" Li Luoqiu covered his nose and said, "They have already spread to 8 cities in Azure Sun County. Tomorrow, they will send over the recent events." Yes. Jun Changshao exhaled and said, "Is my mouth very smelly?" Smelly. Li Luoqiu hurriedly turned his face away. Jun Changshao walked in front of Su Xiaoma and exhaled, "Smelly." Su Xiaoma rolled his eyes and collapsed on the table. Sun Bukong stood up and raised his hand. Sect leader's mouth is so smelly that senior martial brother Su fainted. It means that he has a weak kidney. The next day, all kinds of information from the 8 cities were sent over through letters. The content was very detailed. Li Luoqiu would not submit all of it. After sorting it out, he went to the main hall and began to report the recent events in Azure Sun County. Most of it was useless, but Jun Changshao was able to grasp the situation in the city. It was undoubtedly better than not paying attention to the outside world. Sect leader. Li Luoqiu said, 3 days later, Liyang City's AI clan will publicly auction healing pills. All the clans and sects in the county have already entered the city. It is said that even the 5th-rate sects have been alarmed. Is that so? Jun Changshao clasped his fingers and thought, this AI clan really knows how to advertise. Even the fifth-rate sects have been alarmed. 10 healing pills will probably be sold at a sky-high price. He hoped that he could sell them at a high price. This way, he would be able to earn money. Li Luoqiu said, "Sect leader, I heard that the healing pills developed by the AI clan can heal injuries immediately after consumption. I have a bold idea, but I don't know if I should say it." "Speak. Let's steal it." Jun Changshao, who was holding the armrest with his elbow, suddenly slipped and almost fell from the chair. The corner of his mouth twitched. Hall Master Li's idea is very bold and smart. Sect leader agreed. Li Luoqiu said happily. Agreed my ass. I am the one who sold the pills. If I steal it back, it will be disloyal. Moreover, I am counting on the AI clan to help me promote it. If I steal it, how are they going to sell it? Luoqiu. Jun Changshao said seriously, you are now the backbone of the sect, not an assassin. How can you have such an unhealthy idea like robbing? Yes. Li Luoqiu held her chin and said, I am now the hall master. If I rob, it will be beneath my dignity. But this kind of pill is really magical. If we can get some, we won't have to worry about our disciples getting hurt. Jun Changshao put a bottle of healing pills on the table and said, this is the AI clan's healing pills you mentioned. There are 10 pills inside. If you like it, you can take it. Li Luoqiu was startled and said with a smile, Sect leader, don't tease me. The healing pills that the AI clan auctioned last time were sold for 100,000 yuan each. How can you have a bottle? Jun Changshao said, I have a good relationship with the AI clan master, so he gave me a bottle. Li Luoqiu blinked and said, Sect leader, do you think I am stupid? You are not stupid. Jun Changshao said. Li Luoqiu rolled her eyes at him, turned around and said, since you are not stupid, how can you believe sect leader's joke? Watching the woman leave, Jun Changshao shook his head and said, you were not stupid just now, but now you are. Chapter 141. With the establishment of the branch, Jun Changshao had spies all over the 8 cities in Azure Sun County. Following which, he began to focus on his cultivation. Although he was busy with recruiting disciples and destroying the Drizzle building, he didn't neglect his martial arts. Whenever he was free, he would eat qi-gathering pills and cultivate body metamorphose scripture to strengthen the cyclone in his dantian. The spirit array could only be used by disciples. With the help of high-grade spiritual roots and pills, his cultivation speed was quite fast. After handing over the sect's affairs, he cultivated steadily for 2 days and successfully became a 9th-grade martial disciple from an 8th-grade martial disciple. Bang! He came to the training room and punched the testing machine. The results showed that his strength was 25,000 pounds. Bang! Jun Changshao gathered the exploding fist and tested it. The results showed that his strength was 30,000 pounds. Not bad. Jun Changshao said. Not bad. The leader of the Long Blade sect, who was also a 9th-grade martial disciple, only had a strength of 14,000. If he heard this, he would be so embarrassed that he would commit suicide. Jun Changshao was so strong because of his spiritual roots, spirit shaping pill, and shaping room. Naturally, he was much stronger than ordinary martial disciples. After becoming a 9th-grade martial disciple, his next goal was to become a peak martial disciple and a martial master. Jun Changshao was not satisfied with the current situation. He had to make himself and his disciples stronger within a year. Then, he would go to the Sacred Spring sect to spar. Oh right. There's still the Haoqi sect. I'll let Qingyang and the others cultivate for a month before going to this sect. In Jun Changxiao's opinion, although challenging a 5th-grade sect was very difficult, it was also a good opportunity to spread the name of Iron Bone. As for the Haoqi sect, it was just an insignificant monster on the way to challenge a boss. Yes. He couldn't underestimate it. Give it some respect and consider it an elite monster. Creak. The door of the shaping room opened and Yixingchen slid out. Jun Changshao said, I heard from Qingyang that you've become a martial disciple 2 days ago. Yes. Yixingchen said. Have I cultivated / Yes. How do you feel? Yixingchen was silent for a moment, then said, very strong. For a martial emperor to be able to give an evaluation of very strong, he was definitely not an ordinary person. Jun Changshao patted him on the shoulder and said, as long as you cultivate well and treat the iron bone as your home, there will be more and more powerful martial arts like this in the future. As for whether or not he would be able to create more martial skills in a short period of time, he could not be sure for the time being. However, he had to brag about it first. Yixingchen's eyes lit up. Self/ was the most special spiritual energy type martial skill he had ever seen since he started practicing martial arts. There were many more powerful martial skills like this, so he was looking forward to them. Sect leader. Yixingchen said, Zhou Hong is a genius with an extremely high aptitude in the way of the sword. If you don't want to waste his aptitude, let him focus on the cultivation of the way of the sword. Jun Changshao rubbed his chin and said with a smile, you mean, our iron bone can't accommodate such a genius sword cultivator? Yixingchen said, sword cultivators are 1 in 10,000. Although our iron bone has rupturing fist and self/ we don't have any sword skills. We will only be a burden to him here. Jun Changshao crossed his arms and said with a smile, you seem to know a lot. Yixingchen was silent. He suddenly realized that he should just cultivate on his own. Why should he worry about Zhou Hong? It would be bad if his reincarnation identity was exposed. Schwa. While he was thinking, a secret manual was thrown over. Take this sword skill and cultivate it first. Whether or not you can comprehend it will depend on your luck. Jun Changshao said. Sword skill. Yixingchen looked at the secret manual with Ling Jian Divine Technique written on it and said with disdain, it's named after a god. How arrogant. He turned to the first page and saw the words left behind. He sneered and said, since when did our falling star continent have such a person as the solitary sword emperor? It's obviously made up. It was normal that he had not heard of it. The introduction of the item said, some, and the word, some, meant that it was not the falling star continent. Yixingchen turned to the second page. When he saw the contents of the sword skill, the disdain on his face gradually disappeared and was replaced by shock. This is, he could not help but say, divine sword skill. Although Knight Emperor's cultivation was not there, he could still roughly judge the quality of the martial skill. After all, he had cultivated many in his previous life. As he continued to study, his expression changed again and again. He said, this sword skill is probably not weaker than the 9 heavens cloud-splitting sword technique that I cultivated in the past. Back at his residence, Yixingchen did not comprehend the Taixien Sutra and the body metamorphosis scripture. He focused all his attention on the Ling Jian Divine Technique. After a night of comprehension, although he had memorized the sword skill, he knew that even if he learned it, he would not be able to unleash its true power without high attainments in the sword Dao. Jun Changshao agreed with this point. Although he had learned the sword skill in the cave, due to his limited aptitude, the power he could unleash was not as strong as the 9 forms of the wave stacking sword technique. Although a divine sword skill was powerful, to unleash its true power, one needed to meet the right person at the right time. Yixingchen looked at Zhou Hong standing on the training ground outside the window. He muttered, this kid has comprehended the fast realm. If he cultivates the sword skill, not only will he be able to unleash its full power, but his sword Dao will also benefit. Knight Emperor thought that it was a waste for a sword Dao seedling to cultivate in iron bone. In the end, Sect Master Jun took out a divine sword skill. This was a slap to his face. The next day, after the AI clan auctioned off the healing pills, the members of the Drizzle Hall planted in the city immediately sent over the latest information. What? Jun Changshao stood up with a whoosh. His eyes widened as he asked, how much were they auctioned off? Li Luoqiu said, 10 healing pills were auctioned off for a total of 6 million taels of silver. The average price was 600,000 taels of silver per pill. Jun Changshao confirmed that he did not mishear. The corner of his mouth twitched violently as he said, a single healing pill can be sold for such a high price. As expected, poverty has limited my imagination. Li Luoqiu said, the major sects are definitely not fools. If they are willing to spend such a large amount of money to buy healing pills, then there must be some kind of miraculous effect. Oh, right. She said, the information also said that the AI clan head left the AI clan after the auction ended and is heading towards our iron bone. Sect Master. At this moment, Li Qingyang came to report, the AI clan head has come to visit again. Li Luoqiu was startled. Again? Please come in. Yes. Li Luoqiu said, the AI clan specializes in healing pills and has many connections. They are quite famous in Azure Sun County. Sect Master, are you not going to personally welcome them? There's no need for that. Jun Changshao said. Li Luoqiu muttered, as a Sect Master, I am quite arrogant. Not long after, the AI clan head walked into the main hall. He cupped his hands and said politely with a smile, Sect Master Jun, long time no see. Your cultivation has improved again. He looked at Li Luoqiu and asked, this is? Li Luoqiu, the Hall Master of Iron Bone. Jun Changshao introduced. He already has a Hall Master. His development is really fast. AI Shang hurriedly cupped his hands and said, so it's Hall Master Li. My apologies, my apologies. Li Luoqiu was stunned. Even if he went to a 6th or 7th-rate sect, the elders would still treat him well. Why was the AI clan head so humble when he came to Iron Bone? Suddenly, she remembered that the sect master had said that he had a good relationship with the AI clan head. It seemed that it was true. As for that bottle of healing pills, could it be? Li Luoqiu's expression froze. After a while, she said in surprise, the healing pills are also real? P.S. Please vote, you're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.